Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Three Pointer Podcast. I'm Brent Clemmer, your host, and with me today are my co-hosts, as always, Luke Erickson, Justin Bridges, and Brendan Beck. We'll start with you today, Pooks. What's going on, bud?
Oh, not too much. We've already had our first blunder of the day, and it wasn't from Beck. So
I know.
And it wasn't from Beck.
Something new. I was trying not to laugh there.
It's a fresh new perspective.
Justin, what's going on, pal?
A whole lot. Just got back home. Unloaded. Cool. Everyone was giving me shit for unloading my shit, but nah, it's all right.
No, because Justin waits to do things until 10 seconds before we're about to go live. We're about to go live, and Justin just leaves his room, comes back with an armful of clothes.
Elijah literally went to the LCBO while I was waiting for him to get back. I couldn't grab any of my stuff. I didn't want any of my stuff getting stolen.
No excuses.
No excuses.
Can we say
on.
something here?
Bridgie,
no one wants to hear your story, man. Just stop.
No
with
excuses.
The long spiel. Yeah.
No excuses.
Beck, I had to take some intro from you, bud.
No, I know. I understand.
Yeah, Beck, what's going on?
Not much, man. Just had a short work day today, so I'm feeling pretty good. Thank you.
Nice. Keeping it short today, which I appreciate. So we got lots of good stuff. We'll start back with the news and any takes we have on that kind of recent stuff. And then we have some other stuff that we'll carry into in the description. I mentioned it a little bit. So whatever you guys want to hear, let us know in the comments. And Beck, take it away with some news for us.
Yeah, Brent, thanks, bud. So I'll say it now, and I've said it millions of times. The NBA never ceases to amaze me. But let's start off with I think what we kind of started off last week with the Scottie Pippen show, as we'll call it, and Scottie Pippen just out there with all the hot takes. Recently, in an interview with the Dan Patrick Show, Scottie Pippen said Phil Jackson made a racially motivated decision when he drew up the play for Tony Kukoc in the final moments of Game 3 of the second round of the 94 playoffs against the Knicks. Pippen elaborated, why would Tony, who was a rookie, get the last second shot and you put me out of bounds? That's what I mean, racial. He later said that he thought Phil Jackson was racist. What do you guys think?
I see the thing with that. I get why he'd be pissed that he was on the side, that he was inbounding the ball. But Tony Kukoc was the best shooter on that team. I don't know why you wouldn't give it to him. I don't think it was any racial motivated anything.
So listen.
He just wasn't happy that
I think he's just grasping. I think he's just grasping at straws a little bit. He's just grasping at straws a little bit.
In the game, Pippen was 10 of 20 with 25, and Kukoc was 2 of 6 with 8. Pippen had averaged 21.7 in the series. Kukoc had averaged 8.6. And the only advantage Kukoc had was in three-point percentage. He was shooting 375, and Pippen was shooting 314. So it's not that Pippen doesn't have an argument. But
I don't think that he has an argument.
He's an argument for why he should have taken the shot.
Yeah,
but he doesn't have an argument that it's racist.
No, I don't think there's any. I don't think there's any.
I think
proof
that's too far, and Scottie
Pippen
is a little bit. I don't know. Maybe just looking for attention.
I'm not gonna come out and say what is and what isn't in this scenario, because that is obviously a hot topic. But look, if the numbers say Pippen has an argument, but it also makes sense that you would go to Tony Kukoc, because if you have Pippen inbounding the ball, he's less likely to be guarded as tight. And Kukoc is probably the guy who's most likely to get a shot off. He was 6'8", he had long arms, and he was a good shooter. You know what I mean? I think from a basketball perspective, it made sense, and obviously it worked. So I do think.
Well, he hit the shot, right?
Yeah, exactly. It worked out.
So I mean, if he didn't hit the shot, I get why Scotty's upset, but they hit the shot. So
I think the nicest way,
why are you upset?
The nicest way
I don't get why he was inbounding the ball, though. That's what's never made. I get maybe not giving him the shot, but why is he inbound? Why is he not at least setting a pick or out there at
that point, it's not even they need to put any really real coverage on him.
No, I don't get why he was inbounding the ball. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I think from Phil's perspective, it's okay, well, if I have my best guy inbounding the ball, they're not going to be thinking about it as much if he passes and rolls to the rim or something, or even if they set a screen off him like after he inbounds the ball, that's another thing. But
And
the
the
play
other
was
thing
thrown
is
up
we
for
have-
Tony.
Yeah, the other thing is we have no reason to speculate against Phil Jackson's play calling when it worked.
Fair enough. No, that's
I
very
think-
fair.
No, exactly.
The other thing too to think about is that look, this is the nicest way I can put it about Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen signed what was like I don't know what the contract was exactly, but he was making pennies and pennies and pennies on the dollar for a long portion of his career. I believe it was like 8 years, maybe
basically
25
for
million.
his entire prime, he was making
Yeah.
pennies on the dollar of what he could have been making. And
Absolutely.
but honestly, if you think about that, that's not on the Bulls. And honestly,
No.
that's not on Jerry Krause. That's on Scottie Pippen and whoever manages Scottie Pippen and did his contract negotiations.
At that
Like
point,
that's
it was-
on him. Like honestly, like he could have negotiated for more money if he wanted to, but Jerry Krause offered
Yeah.
him low contract and he fucking took it. Like
Well, it was the
And he-
security, right?
it was a smart move, man. There was the second best. He was like
Yeah.
second in all of their fucking point totals. He was the second best player on their team, arguably the second best player in the league. Some people thought, and he was getting paid what, like fucking 110th or something like that.
Yeah, he was literally. I think
Yeah.
you're right, he was 110th salary.
Like,
It was like
tell me
just
how
over-
that's not a genius general manager move. Like, all respect to
Yeah.
Scottie Pippen, he was underpaid as fuck, but like, that's not the
Yeah.
management's fault. Like,
No.
He signed the contract.
he signed the
Yeah.
contract. He could have
He read the
negotiated
whole
more
thing.
money.
He definitely
He could have gone
got some
somewhere else
money.
if he wanted more money.
He knew what he was worth, but they didn't. But he could have negotiated more money, and he didn't. He signed a
Yeah.
contract, and honestly,
That's on
he was
Scottie Pippen.
butthurt about it. But like, I would be butthurt about it too. But like, it's the decision you made, man. Like, you got to live
Look,
with it.
Yeah,
so
you made
many
your own
years
bed.
later.
Literally,
Yeah, so,
exactly.
so many years later, man, you're grasping at air. But I'm also kind of grasping at air in more of a joking sense when I say this. Like, you think Scotty's just like out for the money at this point? Like, he's just trying to get that attention. He's like, oh,
Well,
man,
he
so
didn't get it while
brutally
he was
underpaid.
playing. So like,
No,
I mean-
he did. He did sign a much better contract like later in his career. I believe he signed like a
Yeah.
6-year, almost $100 million, north of $100 million with the Rockets, right? So it's not that he didn't get paid, but I just think like, look, his tenure was soured by the fact that he felt mistreated by the Bulls. But look, he made his own bed. You're totally right, and I think like by the end of his Bulls tenure, he just had a really bad rap because of some stuff he did. And it's
And-
not to say that he didn't deserve it, but unfortunately, I think a lot of that has outweighed the stuff that he really,
I
the good
agree.
stuff that he did for them.
because it looks bad on your character when you act like that, and whether it's warranted or not, like you can argue that he deserved more money, which he did, and you can argue that this, that, and the other thing. But at the end of the day, fucking Jerry Krause put a team together that won 6 championships. Would they have done that without Michael Jordan? No, but he drafted Michael Jordan. Like,
Yep.
at the end of the day,
He
like
built that
he's
team
at the end of
for
the
him.
day, he's an amazing general manager, and like the players hated him because he did his job. He got players that performed better than anyone else in the league and paid them
Yeah.
less than other teams would have paid them.
He did what he thought he had to do to win a championship, and it worked.
He
Yeah.
treated it like baseball, and it worked to a T.
He traded, I don't know what the trade for Scottie Pippen was. I believe
He
it
traded for
was-
the pick for Scottie Pippen. I
Yeah, he
believe.
traded for the pick, and I believe it was like Sean Kemp and Gary Payton for that number 5 pick. It was something ridiculous. And
Really?
Let me check.
The
here.
Bulls did not have Sean Kemp. No,
Not both of
that's
them.
not
No,
true.
it was Gary Payton draft trade. Here we go.
No way.
Scottie
both of
Pippen.
them.
No. They sent 8th overall pick. Oh, sorry, my bad.
Yeah,
I was
gonna
totally,
say that's
totally off.
I was
Listen,
gonna say
listen.
that's
Yeah,
not a
yeah,
thing.
Yeah, 8th pick, Olden Point, Paul Noyce, and future draft pick options is what they put it as.
So nothing. So nothing.
Look,
Yeah.
yeah, pennies on
Yeah.
the dollar, like Scottie Pippen's contract.
Definitely
Exactly.
not Kemp and Peyton.
No,
Definitely
But-
not Gary Payton and Sean
no,
Kemp.
I'm sorry. Gary Payton, I believe, ended up playing for the Bulls, but it was like post-prime Gary Payton, if you know what I mean.
I think you're right.
I don't think it
Yeah.
was there for the. I don't think he was there for the Jordan era though.
Maybe like I think it might have been the tail end, like 98 or 99. Like
I don't
98.
think he ever won a championship with Mike.
I don't think so
No.
either, to be honest with you.
No, I don't think so.
Really.
No.
But that
I feel like I would know
Wait.
that.
Yeah, me too. I feel like they'll be a lot better. He was in The Last Dance, and that was never talked about at all.
Harry.
Yeah, I don't remember him
No,
being.
you
in
know
that.
what? You know what? I'm probably off on that one too. Actually, I'm probably thinking about the Sonics in the '96 finals. That's what I'm
Get
thinking.
your shit
about.
together. Get your shit
Yeah,
together,
yeah, yeah.
stats guy.
Listen,
Jeez.
listen. Some of this stuff came
He's
out of
throwing
left
us
field
all
today.
off now.
Scotty Pippen has really come out of left field on me. Okay, from a guy that no one really heard much about, to just throwing hot topics on the league for the past week. Like,
Fair enough.
you know, it's what makes the
Yeah, that
NBA
was
interesting.
it was out of nowhere. It's kind of funny. I mean, I
Yeah.
personally like Scottie Pippen, obviously a great player. He was underpaid, but at the end of the day,
No,
Yeah.
back. Gary Payton won a championship with the Heat in 06.
Okay, thank you.
The Heat in 06, he won the championship.
Yeah. So back to kind of the Bulls, because this brought up a really interesting question of mine when we were talking about Jerry Krause, and we know there was a lot of tension between Krause and Jordan and the rest of the team, because Krause felt as though he didn't get the credit he deserved for those teams and putting those teams together. Like, what do you guys what's your take on that?
I mean, he won like 3 Executive of the Year awards. I mean,
I think it was more
he wasn't
internal.
on the court.
like at the end of the
No.
day, he was just a smart enough sports guy to put the teams together and draft good guys and sign them, make amazing signings. But at the end of the day, he like the players play and the coaches
Yeah.
coach, and that's what gets
Yeah.
you wins. And he wanted
Like,
more
and I-
credit for it than he deserved. I think. I think like
Sorry, go ahead.
I think really it all stemmed from when Jerry Krause said players don't win championships, organizations do. And he has a point to that, but the timing of that, I believe, was really, really terrible, because I think it was around the time when,
Yeah.
I believe it was around the time when they were talking about Mike's contract. Like,
But to
right
be
before
fair,
he-
Mike, Mike bullied him. Like Mike,
Oh,
bullied
yeah.
his
Yeah.
ass. Like
Oh yeah.
But Mike
Like-
could do whatever he wanted because he was Michael Jordan.
exactly. But still, like he bullied his ass. Like that
But
would
then
make
again,
me.
though, who did Mike not bully? Unless he like
No, but
But
he didn't
this
bully.
was
He didn't
different.
bully Jerry Krause because he wanted him to be better. He bullied Jerry Krause because he thought
Yeah,
he was
that's
fucking.
true.
Because he hates
That's
dumbass.
true. That's
Yeah.
true.
But
That's so true.
a lot of that hate came from Jerry Krause saying, "Look," and it was Jerry Krause kind of subtly, not so subtly, saying, "Hey, I deserve the props here too. The media wants to talk about Mike and Scotty." Like,
That was part of it, but it was also partly that he like just did his job, and like players didn't
Yeah.
like that. Like he literally like he got rid of friends of theirs. He like went to sign new talent when other people were looking to
Yeah.
sign
It's
contracts.
business.
Like
well,
like the Michael Jordan did not like the business part of basketball, and Jerry Krause literally
No.
represented the
Yeah.
business
was
part
the
of
business
basketball.
part of basketball to him.
Exactly.
And like, I can't say there was a move that Jerry really made besides maybe Pippen that Jordan actually liked. We all know he hated Kukoc. Like,
He did?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jordan hated Kukoc. Like, hated the fact that Kukoc. came
No,
in. Remember-
Jordan-
No.
Jordan and Scotty hated Kukoc because they went over to negotiate
Jerry.
with him when Scotty
Yeah.
was still waiting to sign a contract. They literally said they didn't hate Tony. They just didn't like what Jerry was doing
No.
with them.
But they hated like the whole Tony
They
fiasco.
hated the
When-
move.
They hated when it happened, but then once he got to the team, they liked him. He got
Oh,
so
yeah.
many buzzer
Yeah,
beater
they
shots and
They
shit.
didn't personally hate
Yeah.
him.
Because he
No.
came in when Mike was retired, and then Mike came back, and they still won like 3 championships together.
Yeah, but
And he was a pretty big part of that, to be honest. Like I like Tony Kukoc. He was an underrated player back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
European players were underrated back then.
I think Tony Kukoc really, like, if it weren't for it being his rookie year in like '94 when Jordan wasn't there, like I think Tony Kukoc was one of those guys, a valuable role player in a championship team, but one of those guys who probably would have excelled in another opportunity.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he may not have even come back over because he was making millions of dollars already. Like they had to like court him and beg him to come play for them.
Yeah, no,
It's true.
absolutely. Moving on, Trae Young is listed as questionable for Game 4 versus Bucks with a bone bruise in his foot after stepping on a ref's foot during their Game 3 loss. Trae's averaging 29.6, 9.5, and 1.3 steals through 15 playoff games, and the Hawks are 7.5 points per 100 possessions better with Trae on the court. Do you think that's a reason to be concerned, or are we going to see Trae?
The refs got to get
I'm-
out of the way on that.
I'm
Jeez.
concerned. I'm concerned for Trae Young's health. I'm not concerned because I don't think they had a chance even with Trae.
No. I think we saw it too. Like the Hawks scored 17 points in the fourth quarter, and I think Trae Young accounted for maybe 5 of them, 5 or 6.
Well, yeah,
Like-
in the game before, he only had 17 points, shooting like a ridiculously horrible stat line.
Yeah.
Like, he's not- I'm not
it was
saying he's a bad
4 for
player, but, like,
15.
At the end of the day, he's
No.
he's not going to be
He
the
can't take
difference
down the
maker
Bucks
in that
one
series.
day.
Yes, that's
Not
what I'm trying to say.
Not currently, but his ceiling is like
No,
you
he
can't
does
even
have.
see it
He
yet.
does have. No, yeah, of course.
The Hawks go as Trae goes right now, and that became abundantly clear in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And it's abundantly clear also that he is facing miles and miles away the best defensive team, the best individual, most talented defensive team that he has seen in the playoffs so far. And
Easily.
and it shows.
Definitely. And Milwaukee's put it
No-
together. And
Yeah,
they're using this as warm up for the finals.
And I'm not trying to take away from what Ben Simmons does on defense, but look, Drew Holiday locks in and hounds the guy for probably 35 of the 48 minutes of the game, and it's nonstop. Like I think
I would
we
rather
can all
have Drew
agree-
Holiday than Ben Simmons on my team. And I would say that even before Ben Simmons got to the league. Like
I'd say if anything, even just from a defensive standpoint, Luke, I'd say Ben Simmons, as good as he is, there's waning effort. Like there's moments where it's there and
If
it's
Ben Simmons
awesome.
figures it out.
but we've been saying that for
But-
how long now?
And
We're
I'm
saying
not
if
even-
he
Hasn't
gets
been
a
this
jump
bad,
shot,
though.
if he can
Hasn't
figure
been
this
this
out,
bad.
if he can
Look,
figure that out. Like
It hasn't been
defense-
this bad though. This is an
defense-
all-time.
there
low for this
that
guy.
that Sixers team, that window is closing, man. Embiid's
Very-
not Embiid's not
very
going to be
quickly,
this
too.
physically dominant forever, and it's not going to be for even the next 3 or 4 years.
No.
Probably he'll start to decline.
That's what I was
Like-
saying last week.
I think the offense isn't in
For real,
question. We
though.
know what that is, and we know that there's a lot of work to be done. My point is that defense can come down to effort sometimes, and that
Totally.
is where Ben Simmons waned, because we saw what he did in Game 7 in the fourth quarter, but then we also saw what Trae did for the rest of the series, and that largely comes down to an effort thing, because when Ben Simmons wasn't defending Trae the way he needed to, he was off the court. And we saw Drew Holiday last night go 2 for 4 points on 2 of 9 shooting. Just a horrible night for this guy. But on the court for crunch time and everything, why? Because he would not let up. Because he knew it wasn't going for him, and that's how he provided value. And he didn't stop playing on the defensive end.
he knew what he had
I
to
think-
do, and he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He knew his role during that part of the game, and he just went out there and tried to do it as best he could.
Totally.
And I think the fact that the Bucks have probably more bodies than anyone to throw at stars like that makes it a huge thing, because Trae Young's getting different looks. He's getting doubles in the corner, but one possession it might be Holiday, one it might be Middleton. Fuck, it might even be Giannis at one point, So I'm more concerned not that we won't see Trae. I'm more concerned about what the Hawks are going to do now that we're probably not going to see a full strength Trae for the remainder of this series.
No, and it doesn't matter in my opinion. I'm not I'm concerned for Trae Young's health. Obviously, you don't want to see a guy injured, but it's obviously not that bad of an injury. It's not something he's gonna be out for the start of next season with. It's gonna suck short term for Atlanta, but it doesn't really matter anyways because the Bucks are just on them.
The Bucks have been the team I've been most impressed with this season, this playoffs. So I don't think that they had a chance to beat them in the first place.
I think the most impressive thing to me about the Bucks is it still feels like there's more there, especially
Totally.
on the offensive end.
Yeah.
No,
I've been wanting to see
I
the Bucks come out like this, though.
I watched
Because
the
they've
Bucks
had the
play.
potential for years.
I
Sorry,
watched
go
the I watched the Bucks play, and I genuinely think there's another gear that they haven't even shown people yet. Like I
No.
genuinely think that their ceiling is they haven't even reached their ceiling yet.
No, you're totally right on that, because we've seen them score over 113 points and they're shooting 32% from 3.
Literally.
Like That's from a team that was one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the entire regular season. And we're still seeing a guy like Giannis post 25, 9, and 5.
And I'm sorry, but like the Milwaukee Bucks are not losing to any of the teams still in unless Kawhi comes back. And I don't see Kawhi coming back.
I don't know, to be honest,
You don't think?
unfortunately.
I think the Suns Bucks is going to be a fun series, but at
I
the end
think
of
the
day,
Bucks have
it's-
it easily though.
Yeah, the Bucks
But
outweigh
I'm
the
not-
Suns on defense. So
Unless the Suns come out with something stupid, I don't really see
Yeah.
it.
unless the Suns can figure out how to play defense at the level Milwaukee does, which I don't think they can do, then like
No.
they don't really stand a chance. They don't stand a chance.
Look.
Like I could see it going like 6 or 7, but like
Mhm.
I would never put my money against Milwaukee.
No,
but
it'd be a
if-
good series for sure.
But if Kawhi comes back and he's not like and he's 100% or at least like close enough to 100%, that's an
And
interesting
if
series.
especially if the Clippers pick it up, like keep what they're doing up without him.
yeah, keep
But I
playing
guess
how they're playing right now.
But I guess we'll find
Yeah.
out tonight.
I think the one thing I want to mention too is like we've seen for the first time, I'd say in his entire career, we've seen Giannis Antetokounmpo do in the postseason what he does best and not veer from that game plan. We've seen Giannis, I believe, every game that Milwaukee has won, Giannis has shot 10 plus free throws. He
Yeah.
shot 13 the other night. They won. He shot 46.2% from the line, and they still won. This guy has pretty much realized that he can do whatever he wants out there, and he's going to get his
Except shoot free throws.
and within the time regulation. But
And I think that that comes back to what Beck and I have been saying all year is that fucking the backcourt that they've put in place has taken a lot of the pressure off of Giannis. Has
Yeah.
taken a lot of
Yeah,
those
I agree
double
with that.
teams away from Giannis.
Yeah,
and I
Clem,
think
you had the Bucks losing in the first round. You had the
I
Bucks
thought
losing
that he
to
would-
Miami.
Yeah. But I also don't think the Bucks are here if
past
they play
years
healthy games.
and how Giannis played, I honestly wouldn't have doubted like that outlook.
I didn't know if they were going to get where they are now, but I definitely didn't think they were losing.
Yeah, that's
I
what I'm
also
saying.
like the Heat though. So like that
Yeah.
was kind of part of my prediction.
Sure
this
enough.
this season was a total anomaly for that Heat team. Like I think everyone that succeeded last year that made them so good pretty much struggled. Like
just
Bam
dropped
struggled,
off.
Jimmy, yeah, just that whole. I think they were punching
Tyler
above their weight a
Hero
little bit.
struggled.
Yeah, I think the world knew they were punching above their weight, but Jimmy
Yeah.
played ridiculous, and we saw what happened when Jimmy kind of became more of the Jimmy that we've seen when it comes to shooting and things like that. And we saw it from the rest of the team too. Like that just got congested. And that brings me back to Milwaukee. It's like you've got your starting five: Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, PJ Tucker, and Brook Lopez, all of which shoot above league average. Like we're seeing more and more times Giannis is not seeing a second defender because these teams are scared of these guys shooting from outside because they will
Exactly.
kill you.
Exactly. It's taking away a lot of the double teams Giannis has been seeing
Yeah.
in past years because they have shooting threats that you have to go cover.
I
Yeah.
watched Giannis in the last game they played literally just wave off Chris Middleton. Like Middleton was wide open on the 3-point behind him, and Giannis was like double teamed, and Giannis just spun and dunked. Like it was basically a triple
Yeah.
team in the paint, and Middleton was literally left alone at 3 for like half the fucking possession.
And we saw Middleton too. Like Middleton has his moments. Like Middleton outscored the Hawks 20-17 on his own.
Literally.
And this guy, like the minute his shot falls, he will throw. Like he will throw and throw and throw.
He's underrated as fuck. Like he's been underrated his
Yeah.
whole career. He's a fucking
And
he's disgusting.
he has one of the most expansive, like deep bags when it comes to how to score in the NBA.
Totally.
And it's not built on athleticism or anything. That is skill, and that is
And
hard to stop.
IQ. He puts himself in the
Yeah.
position to score the ball better than like almost anyone I've seen play this season.
Yeah.
Like he puts it like the fact he knows where to be before the play even develops. Like before the
Yeah.
ball even gets inbounded, he knows where he needs to be and he knows where he's going to be
Or
to
even
create
when he has the
openings
ball
and
in
create
his
space.
hand.
Literally,
Yeah.
he knows where there's
Like
going to be
he's-
space
yeah.
and he penetrates. It's fucking he sees the court unbelievably
good.
well. He's so
He's,
good.
There's-
he's pretty good.
that like addition of Drew Holiday's created so much security
Totally.
for that team on offense because all they need now is if Giannis is going to struggle, look, he's still going to get the same attention because of what he does and what he is. And we've seen guys. I don't think we've seen them all hit full stride at the same time. Like it's been that just
I
hasn't
agree.
happened yet. But we've seen like, look, they need 1 or 2 good games, and they're getting it from Giannis every single game, and that helps so much.
So I have a question. So if the Bucks do win the championship, does Giannis win Finals MVP?
Oh, he has to.
Yeah, you think so?
From the
Yeah, I
start
think-
of the from the
He
start of
has
the
to.
playoffs,
He
Beck
has
was
to.
saying that Drew Holiday was winning it.
Look,
Yeah,
I think
that.
Giannis will, but I definitely could see it being Drew or
But,
Chris.
like if we see Drew average like 15 and 7 and just lock up Devin Booker like that, we've seen it with Andre Iguodala.
Don't get ahead of yourself. That
was
series
gonna
isn't
say that-
over.
It's
I'm gonna
over.
say
Trey
It's
Young's
over.
not playing. It's over.
No.
Trey-
I'm talking
no,
about
no,
the
no, no,
Clippers.
no. The Suns
Oh.
Clippers.
True.
That one's over too.
It could be over. That's more over than this one is.
I think Phoenix,
I
like
don't
Phoenix's
think so.
home crowd, they're more excited than ever because not only have they gotten a
Dude.
taste of playoff basketball, but they know their team is legit.
Dude.
Like they've known their team is legit since game 1.
I put a lot of money on the Bucks and Chris Middleton going over, like a prop bet on Chris Middleton going over when he scored his 38-point game. So I took my winnings from that and I put it all on the Suns tonight for the spread.
Put the house on the Suns.
Put them on the Suns.
What is it? I think it's like 5.5 points or something.
Yeah, it was like 5.5 or like 5.2 or some shit like that.
Yeah. So something crazy like that. But it'll be interesting to watch. And honestly, I just think the Clippers are overmatched without Kawhi.
Me too.
I think they're overmatched on the inside. They're down Serge Ibaka. They're down their 2 most experienced playoff contributors. Like as much playoff experience as PG has. This is like his first.
No,
trip
I
to a
agree.
conference
I
final,
I was more joking, but it's also
Yeah.
the fact that I've learned this playoffs not to bet against the Clippers when they're down.
Absolutely. But this is a.
They've been
different-
absolutely
this is a different
incredible.
team. Yeah, they have, but this is a different team, and unfortunately,
No one
like,
on that
Paul
no one
George-
on that court is defending Booker the way that Kawhi could defend Booker.
No, of course
Absolutely.
not. Bev has
And
done a good job.
PG is so burdened with the offensive load that there's
Totally.
there's no room for him to play defense on.
He
the other
can't play. He can't play two-way. They're relying on him for like more than half of their points.
And the scary thing is too is like as good as his numbers have been, there's also he's getting those numbers on a high volume.
Yes,
Like,
of
it's
course.
not, but a high inefficient volume.
Yes, I know that, but
Yeah,
I do like PG, and I still do like the Clippers team. And
Yeah.
to be honest, I think this isn't a topic we had for today, but I do want to bring it up briefly. That last game against the Suns, I'm starting to see more of the reffing deficit that Luke was talking about. That it's starting to become more noticeable to me. Because I don't know if you guys watched that game, but the last 2 minutes of that game were absolutely horrendous on the ref's end.
you mentioned that, and like explain it in further detail because I watched.
Okay,
I
so
I saw.
I didn't
highlights,
catch
but-
the last 2 minutes, but
Okay, so essentially it was like a minute and 30 seconds left. They were down by 3, and they were just automatically fouling anyone and forcing them to shoot free throws and then keeping that 2-point lead or 3-point lead. And then basically, I think it was Payne was up the sideline and Batum got all ball. Like he was in front of him. He got all ball, went off Payne's hand
that was
and
fucking
went out.
stupid. No, I
And-
remember that. That was fucking stupid.
And it was a clean steal, and it should have been Clippers basketball, but they called it a foul.
I've been saying it all year, man. The refs are like, something needs to happen about the refs. Like, it's genuinely embarrassing.
Because if
Like,
the
it's
Clippers get the challenge on that and they get possession, they tie that game.
It's
Because they were only
it's-
down by 2 at that point.
It's embarrassing that games are decided by incompetence of refs. Like, it's genuinely embarrassing when these players and coaches are making millions of dollars. People are paying obscene amounts of money to go watch these teams play, and the refs are deciding playoff games. It's fucking ridiculous,
that's
man.
brutal.
It's
And then-
ridiculous.
And then there was another one where CP3 got the inbound pass, and they doubled him, and he didn't reach in on him. It was a borderline foul. You might have been able to call it, but they called it really, really fast, and Chris Paul actually traveled before the foul should have been called, and they gave that a foul to Chris Paul, and that ended the game. That gave them absolutely no chance of coming
That's
back.
brutal.
And it was like two or three calls in a row.
That whole
absolutely-
last 2 minutes sequence was it was retarded on the refs' behalf.
And if it wasn't for that, even if the refs get one or maybe two of the four calls that were probably wrong towards,
Because they're refs,
Clippers?
they're human beings. They're gonna miss calls here and there, but
but there should be something where that can be reviewed.
and
Yeah.
honestly, the
Or
fucking
challenge or something.
the refs in these playoffs, like the whole playoffs, not just recently, from the first game, they have been so bad and they've been so conservative, and they'll call any bullshit that they can see, and then they won't call other legitimate fouls. And they've thrown techs at players that don't deserve it. They've fucking ejected players that don't deserve it. Like, it's fucked, man. It's honestly
Yeah.
ridiculous.
And that last Clippers game, that made it extremely clear to me. And if you watched it back, I think you'd agree with me, because it was bad. It took like 15 fucking minutes to get 2 minutes of play
Literally.
done, which is
I wanna-
annoying to begin with.
I want to bring up the last 2-minute report from this game. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So basically, to summarize, a last 2-minute report essentially reviews all of the calls made in the last 2 minutes of the game. And essentially, they're reviewed by independent officials in the game to see whether calls were correct or incorrect. So look, like in the very first instance of the last 2 minutes, we have an incorrect call here. Right there. We have correct. We have CNC, which I believe would be incomplete or something, or
Inconclusive.
Can't conclude. Exactly. So 1, 2, we have multiple cannot concludes. We have another one there. So look, three incorrect, blatantly incorrect calls. But look, if you can't conclude on what is almost 5, 6, like 7, so that's 10 instances of maybe 20 calls here, guys, where the refs have absolutely no clue as to how to make these calls. And look,
Dude,
if
that's
there's
a completely different game.
yeah.
What?
Well,
look,
somebody needs to. There's got to be something done with that, because I get that it's inconclusive, but
Yeah.
some of those would have gone the Clippers' way, and
Yeah.
more so than not, they didn't.
and it's
That's
literally
a completely different game.
and it changes the game. But the problem is that you can't. There's nothing you can do. It happens.
But it
so
should be
quick
able to
and
be challenged by someone else.
I totally
Like,
and I think they should have more challenges, and they should be able to challenge
So-
anything, literally anything.
besides, like, are you willing to trade from a viewer's perspective? Are you willing to trade more time, like, to drag these games?
I'd
on
rather
such
that
time
game
in
go an
order
extra
to-
5 minutes and get it right than
And have it fair, and
But-
have the actual
Yeah.
winner of the game prevail, other than the refs literally deciding who wins.
it looked like, in my opinion, it looked like they wanted the Suns to win.
Look,
Like
the-
that's I was sitting there like literally about to punch my screen.
Dude, it hasn't even just been basketball.
No,
The fucking
no. Yeah,
the
absolutely.
Habs. Literally the Habs, man. Like the NHL like pushes the teams that they want to win. And it's
So
been
listen.
it's been happening through all the sports leagues all year, except for the
Oh.
NFL. The NFL
and it's
doesn't
becoming
have it.
more apparent, more and more apparent.
Yeah.
I will read to you some of the comments on the inconclusive calls. Right here, we have a personal foul on DeAndre Ayton. Ayton, Phoenix maintains a legal guarding position on Morris Sr.'s drive to the basket. A legal guarding position. How can you not conclude a legal guarding position on a personal foul is an incorrect call? Unless I'm missing something.
If you watched it, it was because it was kind of blatant. It looked like a foul. It was very, very. It was rough. It was a very, very
Cannot-
rough.
Jay Crowder cannot conclude. Reaches across and cleanly blocks man's shot attempt. Foul. Inconclusive. Terrence Mann initiates marginal contact before separating and get open for the pass. Inconclusive.
That was another one that Terrence Mann, where it could have put them within 2 points, so they would have had to stop fouling him, and they didn't call a foul on the shot. He would have had an and one.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I do. I remember that one too. Now that you say that,
Personal foul, Paul George, Chris Paul. George cleanly knocks the ball from Paul's control. Again, inconclusive. Like we're seeing here so many times, it's A or B, guys. Like if you're saying he cleanly knocked the ball from someone, that's a legal basketball play.
Yeah.
How can you not conclude that when it says cleanly?
Well, they don't want to look like idiots and be like, yeah, they had 90% of these calls wrong.
Yeah. Look, makes some contact, but did not push him into Crowder. We're down here at personal foul. This is probably more intentional fouling, but look, you get the point. There is a lot of ass covering here.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And like if you watch the game back, I know you didn't. You would see where I'm coming from, where I was frustrated with the calls, and that wasn't even as a Clippers fan perspective. It was
I was frustrated too.
It was just frustrating to watch because it wasn't fun. Because the Clippers easily could have won that game.
There's no integrity in the game. There's no integrity.
At the end of the day, we're like we do this show and we like act like we know what we're talking about, but we're just fans. We're literally just fans with opinions that do a show. And literally it's saddening to as a fan to watch basketball like that, where the best team maybe doesn't prevail because the refs literally make it so they can't. And that makes that really series way more interesting. Totally. Dude, and they tie it 2-2. It's literally a whole new series.
It's literally that's how it's been for me, at least all throughout all sports. And especially if I were to watch that game, I know I'd be extra frustrated just knowing that there's you're right, Pooks. The better team doesn't prevail there because
or maybe
the refs
didn't. Like we don't know if the better team prevailed because we don't know.
Because
to me, the Clippers were playing really
a bunch of shitty calls,
and they just couldn't get anything done because of the intentional fouling. They kept intentionally fouling, and on top of that, the Clippers couldn't get stops because they did get stops. It's just they were called wrong. They would have had 2 more possessions to tie the game at a 2-point margin. And
so
if they're shooting
me the intentionally fouling, like was this Phoenix on LA?
Yes. So Phoenix with 2 minutes left, they were up 3 at this point, and every time the Clippers touched the ball, they just fouled them.
But
good
why?
coaching, sure. It was good coaching,
sure. But you're sending them into the bonus.
They were already in the bonus. They wanted them to shoot free throws because it gives them that they still have a 1-point lead. It's better than them having it's better than them having the 3-point lead. And if you give the ball to Chris Paul, you know he's going to hit his free throws more than anyone else on the court. In which case, like you're not worried about the Clippers hitting the 3 to tie the game.
You're exactly right.
So the Suns were fouling the Clippers in order to maintain a 1-point lead.
Yes,
but then there's also the viewpoint where you're essentially guaranteeing the Clippers 1 to 2 points every single possession down the floor. So I think there's a little. I have to think there's a little bit more to that, because to me, like, why would you guarantee a team 1 or 2 points on every possession?
Because it looked like they were scared.
Because they're not guaranteed.
Monte Williams, he was literally laughing every time they fouled because they couldn't do anything, and it slowed their pace. They couldn't get any momentum going. Sure, good coaching. I think that rule needs to change, though.
So I think maybe more than anything, I feel, because look, there are rules in place for off-ball intentional fouls. And look, you go to the bonus. I think, and I didn't see this, so I may be wrong, but is there a difference between what you're considering intentionally fouling and probably basketball, where they're like, okay, look, if we put them on the line, they're not going to tie the game, so play physical? Is there a difference there?
No. They were, as soon as the ball got inbounded, they were fouling, like wrapping.
Yeah,
maybe not every possession, but most of them, they were literally like, as they wouldn't even let the ball get inbounds without fouling.
That's ridiculous. But then off-ball intentional fouls are 2 shots on the ball.
It wasn't off ball. They were fouling.
Okay.
They were fouling the inbound, or the player that was getting the inbound, which was typically PG at that point in the game, because they knew they were fouling. They were giving the ball to PG so he could hit his shots. because he's
That's
their
weird.
best free throw shooter.
Yeah. So, I mean, PG, was he from the line here? Free throw attempts. Yeah, 12 of 18. So, there's obviously a correlation there. But, I mean, at the end of the day, from the Clippers' perspective, too, that's 6 free throws right there. Like, that's...
Of course,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, PG didn't hit his shots. He
No.
did hit most of them in the clutch, like in that fourth spin, but he missed one that was kind of like, okay, you got to hit that. But
Yeah.
in that fourth quarter, it didn't look like he was missing that many free throws. And
No.
they were fouling him constantly. And you know what? When the game's that slow at that point, it's hard to get momentum. It's hard to keep playing. And like, just speaking from any sports perspective.
It's hard to do anything with no momentum going into it. Like,
Yeah.
especially when the refs aren't doing anything for you. That just makes you more frustrated.
Confidence is everything in not in just sports, in life in general. And when you don't have confidence or momentum, you're not going to do as well as you would if you had the confidence to do it.
And your confidence goes way down when you're not getting your way because of some bullshit.
When you don't think that you can win because of the refereeing, that literally just takes all your confidence.
You should have
away.
seen Ty Lue. Ty Lue was ready to throw something at the refs.
Oh, I bet.
Especially he's a coach that's coached a lot of playoff games, and he knows that he knows calls.
He
like,
knows.
Obviously, he's going to be mad about things that happen to his team, but like generally, he's a good person. Like,
he's a good judge of what.
If he's genuinely angry, you should have a look at that. Like, you know,
he was like ready to throw a water bottle on the court.
Ty Lue knows as a player what's up. Like, as a former player, he knows what's up. But the other thing you think about too, like, not so much maybe even confidence, but like, yeah, there's confidence, but you're denying a guy from getting in a rhythm at a valuable point in the game.
Facts.
Because you're slowing the play down. So
that's why I think there should be a rule that if there's like a 3-point lead or something, maybe not even a 3-point, but if you're intentionally fouling to stop a deficit, that it should be looked at, and if it's concluded, it should be three shots.
I think
there would have to be more. There would have to be more.
There has to be something done, because if that's how they're going to play.
But I don't hate the rule.
But look, you're taking maybe it's a last 2-minute thing, or
you
have to say last minute thing. But look, you can't go and say, oh, we're going to increase the value of free throws, because then you're taking away a part. Intentional fouling and hitting free throws, as much as you might hate it, is a part of the game and a legitimate strategy at the end of games. So,
but when it comes to a team that's down and they're intentionally fouling so they can't take a 3, I don't like watching that. It's from a fan's perspective, it's not fun, and there's got to be something done to make it more entertaining, because I think most fans are on my side of this one.
That's dumb.
And I'm sure you're right, but there's also a point to be made. Hey, they're giving you what should be a free 2 points, right? So the punishment there is the same. So maybe you look at more like, okay, like if you're within 5 in the last 2 minutes and you start doing that, you start pulling that bullshit. Then
I think I don't think it should be a last 2-minute thing. I think it should be like a 10 person or 10 team fouls or something in a quarter.
That's
so like in the fourth quarter.
Once you get so far into the bonus.
Yeah, because it should be a second bonus.
Even in high school basketball, like your original 5 foul bonus is 1-1, and then 10 is double bonus. So
to give you an idea, they took Devin Booker off the court.
They fouled Devin, like Devin Booker fouled out. Yeah.
So,
but that's more than blatant enough. But I like the idea because look, in the fourth quarter, things get physical and fouls do pile up. So it's not realistic. Like, it's very realistic to say, like, teams could approach 10 fouls if that's what they're doing.
But don't get 10 fouls then. If you don't want there to be a second bonus.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is you increase the penalty of the double bonus to 2 shots in the ball.
Dude, I don't hate that. Yeah, that's fair. And that was another variation of, instead of the 3 points, there's multiple ways it could be implemented, but that's definitely how I think it should be. Now that you say that, I totally agree with that.
Because not like three free throws, like we hardly see 3-point fouls, and it's a greater. I'd say I'd say 2 shots on the ball is a greater penalty, but guaranteeing a team 3 points in a league that values 3-pointers so much is probably almost worse than giving the team the chance to defend after 2 free throws.
And it's also the thing, if you foul again, they get the ball back, they get the ball back,
Yeah.
you're screwing yourself. So you have to play clean basketball, and you can't just load up those fouls because you're not getting the ball back, which I like more.
Yep, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And so my point is that something has to be done. I don't really care what,
I think
just
you're right.
something to fix that problem, because I don't think that's
Yeah.
fair to the players on a team that's losing by 3 with a minute and a half left when you can't make up that deficit, because that's basically saying that if you have a lead with 2 minutes left of 3 or greater points, you can't win that game.
No.
So that's my whole point.
No, I
Yeah,
agree.
from
I agree
a-
with that.
Where I want to leave it is like from a basketball purist standpoint where you want to watch the game, yeah, it sucks. But from a tactical standpoint, it's literally the shit that Bill Belichick does.
It's genius coaching wise.
110%.
It's just not fun to fucking watch.
No,
Yeah.
but
fans
and
pay
I'm-
for the
and
league.
I'm
for
assu-
me,
And I'm
But it's-
assuming,
but
and
that's-
I'm
but that's
assuming
part of
it's
the
not
game,
fun
though.
to play either.
yeah. No,
But
Because
my
then
point
you
is,
just sit-
my point is,
Then you're
if,
just sitting there like, oh, another one.
if they
oh,
get a
another
double,
one.
if they
Look.
put that double bonus in,
If they
it
put that
stops
double bonus
from
in, yeah.
happening to an extent,
Yeah.
yeah,
and it
I-
fixes that issue,
look,
because the fans
I-
don't want to see guys shooting
No,
20 free throws in 5 minutes.
I totally
No,
agree.
of course
and from a basketball standpoint, from a fan standpoint, yeah, that rule's probably got to change, and that rule's probably got to come in order to make it a better product for the fans. But there's also it also takes away from actually coaching the game. And we're seeing more and more of that, where teams like these super teams, we're not seeing coaches anymore. We're just seeing game managers. And it's totally different. And I think for some people, I know myself included, I don't appreciate what Monty Williams did, but I also appreciate the genius that comes with it.
Yes, of
Because
course.
I
And
see-
I said that. I just think he's a
Yeah.
pussy for doing that, to be honest.
But
and
are we
I get
gonna
that. I get that he's not actually a pussy
Yeah.
because that's tactically he's allowed to do it, and it's like teams going over the cap in playoffs in hockey, stuff like that. But to be honest, there's got to be a limit to where that's okay, and where the give what the fans want, because who's paying for the league?
Yeah, the fans. But
No, I agree with that.
No, ad agencies pay for the league.
Yes,
ad, ad revenue and
TV
TV
without the
TV
fans,
TV
without the
money and
fans,
they didn't
without
have
the
they didn't have fans for the first half of the season.
no, but people
Yeah,
watching it on TV and stuff.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
But
those-
if
listen,
we stop
those
watching the
TV
game, if everybody
contracts-
stopped watching the game, the NBA loses all their money.
The only way that happens is because look, TV contracts are thank you. Show this comment. Please show this comment. Someone commented fans are irrelevant.
They kind of
And
are,
look,
to be honest.
no,
Like,
You're
I'm not
100%
talking about in-person fans.
no,
only-
even fans that watch, because they sign contracts with the
Yeah.
TV providers, right? Like, it doesn't matter.
Because-
Viewership doesn't matter. It's they sign a contract,
Yes,
right?
but
Like,
guess
if they won't, TV companies aren't going to re-sign that if people stop
Yeah.
watching the game.
That's true. That is also
Fans do matter.
but that's not going to take one season though.
No,
Yeah.
no,
And-
absolutely not. And I'm
and
not
it's
saying
and,
that.
and
I'm
it's
just
an
saying-
unreally realistic thing because no one's going to stop watching basketball.
Fans
No,
are
and that's not
irrelevant.
really my point. My point is you have to please the fans.
Fans are irrelevant to an extent where they become more irrelevant the more locked in revenue becomes. So when the NBA signs a new TV contract with Turner Sports or ESPN or whatever, and it's 10 years for billions, multiple billions a season, because that's what it is
Yeah.
now.
They don't care about
Like,
viewers.
they
They already
don't
have
give a-
their
they don't give a
they already
fuck.
have their guaranteed money. They don't care about
Because-
the viewers
yeah.
at all.
Because
Absolutely.
the only people making monies off viewers at that point are
Are
ESPN.
the TV,
and-
yeah, the TV companies
Exactly.
themselves.
Yes, but
Exactly.
at some point it's a ladder, right? So if the fans stop watching games on TV, the TV loses viewership and ad revenue, and then the league loses money because TV.
But 10 years, if they're in the first year of say some 10-year contract and they're making
Yeah, no, I
$2
totally get
billion
what
a
you're
season,
saying.
the NBA doesn't give a fuck.
They don't
If
give
the
a
ratings go
fucking
down.
shit. It's the only
No.
people that give a shit about ratings are the TV companies.
That,
Because
Exactly.
the time of TV contracts and money being determined on viewership is long gone. Especially
no, I
in sport.
agree. That
Viewership's
wasn't really my point, but
Yeah.
you do want to please the fans.
Of
Because
course, to a
you
certain
do.
extent,
You do.
but like you're not going to put out rules that change the way the game is played right now, unless there's a huge surge of fans that stop watching, which isn't going to happen. By the
Yeah.
way, it's like we're not
No.
going to see that because people are still going to watch because it's basketball and there's diehard fans and people want to watch.
Yeah.
And it's never gonna change, at least not in the foreseeable future.
I think a good point to make too is like we look at well-established like sports, like the NBA is ever changing. It's one of the most adaptable leagues in the world. But we look at
Totally.
things like soccer and we look at things like baseball and or even we look at things like the NHL that's been kind of slow to come into this modern era where rules are changing. But
Yeah.
they still have consistent fan bases where they're raking in billions of dollars. Like
Absolutely.
Literally,
friggin' soccer had a Super League issue where teams wanted to abandon the traditional European club tournament and like basically go into this league where larger teams are playing in order to make more money. And no one really like they abandoned it because look, those teams still make billions on billions on billions because soccer
Exactly.
is fucking huge.
it's profitable.
Right?
Going on,
Exactly.
Jesse.
And the
What's up,
NBA is
Jesse?
now
Jesse,
the NBA. Yeah. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
The
I get
NBA
where
is
you're
such a
coming from.
large organization.
professional sports
Yeah,
is
no, I
like
see that.
once they have those contracts signed, they have their money, and honestly, like they care about the fans, but they have no obligation to change rules because of the
Yeah,
fans.
no, you're right.
No, it's just
No, you're right.
my point is for the respect to the game too is players don't really want to play like that either.
No,
But
that's
every
what I was
team
saying
plays
earlier.
like that, though. Like
Yes,
Not
every team
well,
plays
but
like that.
It's an
You have
it's an
to.
exploitation though. So if
Not
they got rid of it, it would
necessarily.
make it more fun, more enjoyable to watch. Players would enjoy it more. There'd be more viral videos of last second shots because that becomes an option. And-
I won't lie to you
With,
though.
but
A lot of people got fucking kicks out of Bill Belichick taking 2 minutes off the clock on an
Absolutely, but
on taking delay
But
of game penalties.
you do say that, and that is a good point. But the flip side of that is there's a lot more injuries. There's a lot more injuries if things like that happen. If they get less restricted on fouls and stuff, there's going to be a lot more injuries.
I'm
to
not
star
saying
players.
less
And not-
restrictions on
yeah.
fouls.
and not just injuries to regular players. There's going to be a lot more injuries to star players.
He's saying more
And-
restrictions to decrease, like in order to speed up
Because
the pace of play.
the NBA is a
reduce
bit-
stoppages.
The NBA is a business, and the business they're what's the fucking word? I can't think of it. Fucking their most valuable fucking assets. Their most valuable
Yeah.
assets are the players, are these star
Yes.
players that go out and generate ticket sales and jersey sales and people watching it on TV and all of that shit. If those players are getting injured and not playing as much, they're not going to get the same money as they would if they
But
are.
in
And
the
that's
last
why
2
these
minutes-
rules are the way they are, is to protect players like that.
Yes, but my point is the bonus. The bonus isn't going to change. It's just have a double bonus of some sort so that teams aren't fouling as much. They don't want to play like that.
No, there's a good point to be made there, and I think if it becomes something more we see more often, then yeah, I think that would be something that could be changed.
Could be. I doubt we'll see it in the
Yeah.
foreseeable future, but could be.
Yeah, getting a cut of the merchandise profits.
Where do you guys stand on college players getting paid? I'm totally for it personally. I think we all are, to be honest.
I don't think that the
No,
school shouldn't have to pay them, but if they want to go out and get
Yeah.
sponsorships and paid through
Endorse,
outside
yeah,
sources,
yeah.
they should be allowed
That
to.
makes sense.
If
But-
they've
but
earned the
the-
fanfare,
But the kicker with that is that when they go out and get these like deals and this money, they shouldn't be allowed to represent the school. They shouldn't be allowed to wear the school's gear and represent the school's logos because then the school will get a cut of
Hold
that
on.
because they're representing a
hold
team.
on. Look, okay, Luke, you make 100% sense because a lot of these players' name, image, and likeness, their value comes from the fanfare they get from the schools they're at.
Exactly.
That is 100% true. And I do think there's going to be a certain point where these players do have to give up a certain percentage of this to the schools because they are not exploiting the school's brand, because I think
No.
it's been the other way around for a long time, but it's a platform.
There's
Exactly.
going to have to be a happy medium that both
Yeah.
sides are going to have to agree on something where either the students get a cut of the merchandise from the school or like what
It's
I assume that's what you're saying.
it's a fuzzy subject because they could get because then how do they do that? Do the players who play more minutes and do you get more generate more revenue get more of that revenue than a bench player?
Because like think about
then
like
there's all of that stuff you have to figure
stuff
out.
like
Look,
when they're using your
here's-
face on billboards and stuff.
Oh
and
yeah.
advertisements
Here's-
and stuff. If it's your face on there,
here's-
you deserve to get some money out of it.
Yeah, but then if they're wearing the jersey and colors of the school's going to want money from that too because they're using the school to profit. That's what
the counter argument to be made in this though, and Luke, sorry to cut you off because it is pretty important, is that look, the schools always compete to sign these kids. Like we know that schools line up at the door to sign these 5-star prospects, and eventually some schools going to say, "Look, you can use our platform, and we're not going to take any money from you because we want you."
And they're going to
So
get
there's
way
that too.
more players.
Yeah.
And they're going to get way more players, and the fact that they get this fanfare from these players being able to market themselves and make money for themselves, the schools are going to get that much more money because there's that much more attention surrounding their players. So I think it is a
Definitely.
win-win. I think it's a win-win situation where we might see like for 3 years where the like NCAA might try to get that because there's a very good chance that it could be very lucrative for some players and ultimately some schools. But at the same time, look, if you have a guy appearing on Gatorade commercials and he's a college player for your team, guys are like people are going to know that that's the team they play for.
Totally. But if I'm again, the NCAA is a business and all of these colleges are businesses. And if I'm looking at that from a business standpoint, I'm saying, well, if they're using me to profit off them, then I'm going to take a cut of that because they wouldn't even be in this position if it wasn't for me. And I totally get what you're saying, Beck. There's probably going to be teams that allow players to do that. But if I'm like a major program like Alabama, Notre Dame, like all of these high profile like teams that get thousands of fans and thousands of TV coverages, I'm not letting my star player wear my jersey in a Carl's Jr. commercial without taking a piece of that. And it's not even more about the money. It's about the respect and it's about the hierarchy. Because because as soon as they start taking that, they're going to be like, well, how far can we push it? How much can we take from you? And then before you know it, the fucking school gets fucked over. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Everyone, Sidney Clark here. Got to run soon. Take care of you guys. Can't wait till camp starts. Hockey. Yeah, thanks for checking out the show. And if you enjoy hockey, check out Flyers Alley and Dusty Buttes.
Yeah.
Pooks, I see where you're coming from, bud, but it also, like Clem said, they will have to reach a good medium.
Yep.
Right? Like
they'll have to reach some sort of agreement, definitely.
A healthy medium where both parties can agree and
benefit to the max.
And it'll end up and what it'll end up being is it'll end up being specific to the school. There'll be NCAA guidelines that they'll have to follow, but at the end of the day, it'll be up to the school's discretion what they do when it comes to things like that.
They can be looser with certain rules and
because there's college teams that like Clemson that have players that are highly marketable, and then there's like teams like Arkansas that are still really huge, like they're still really huge college football teams, but they don't have the high level players that some of these other teams have. And I think that's where we're going to see an overlap. But then that creates players wanting to go to these schools that are going to let them do this stuff, and that creates a whole other recruiting thing, right? It'd be like the NCAA is so fucked that's going to create like so many whirlwinds of things that they're going to like so much red tape they're going to have to cut through and decide. It's going to take so long to come to that medium, and then it's going to be different for every school, right? So it's just going to be another thing to have to do with recruiting.
As I go into the point I want to make about this, because there is the shady we're a business legal side. I think Jesse Bell has someone to answer to here in the comments asking about a combination lock. So Jesse, if you are here, please begin typing your story as I go into my spiel.
I'm not sure if this is a story for this show or if it's a story for the Dusty Buttes that somebody wants to hear. So either or, Jesse, I'm sure play this how you want to.
Jesse's the owner. Confused. I think he can do what he wants here. I think.
Jesse, just send her in the comments, bud.
Honestly, I'm interested. I'm invested now. I want to know what this combination lock.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird thing.
There's two comments about this combination lock. So clearly, someone's passionate enough to use our platform as an opportunity to ask Jesse about a combination lock story. And frankly, I'm here for it.
Yeah, honestly,
I'm down with it. I mean, if not Jesse, we can do it on Dusty Buttes, but I have no idea what the fuck this could possibly be. So I'm
Yeah,
kind
I
of
have no idea
intrigued.
either. No, idea
Dude, I
either.
swear that every time Jesse will send us like voice messages, and it sounds like he's on a forklift. Like every
He's on a
time.
forklift.
And I
Oh,
know
is
and
he
that's
actually?
and no, but then I just think about him sending us voice messages while he's fucking operating a forklift, and it kills me. And it
Yeah.
kills me.
Like, I want to know how many skids Jesse like breaks a day or something. Just fucking on his phone, just
Just
goes
sending
right
us
in.
voice
He,
messages.
he claims to be the best forklift operator on the East Coast, which
I mean,
I'm not sure
you
if he's
can
pumping
send-
his own tires, but I'm really curious
Listen.
I want to see this in
if-
motion.
If you can send the amount of voice messages that Jesse does in a day and still hold
Totally.
the job as a forklift operator,
No,
I think there's
totally.
a
You
lot
gotta
of
be
skill
pretty
there.
good.
'cause if
You
I'm
gotta be
running-
pretty good.
If I'm running a plant and I'm looking at this motherfucker carrying 3 skids at one time while he's talking on his phone about some fucking sports shit, I'm like, what in the fuck is that?
No, that's
It's
true.
gonna take one
That's so
he's
true.
gonna
Yeah.
nick a corner and it's just gonna fall on some like administration lady and she's just gonna get workers' comp for the rest of her life.
He's just crashing
like,
into the
hey,
office buildings.
Mr. Bell, I'm sorry to inform you that since our company is now on the hook for over
Hitting someone with a
500,000
combination lock. Oh my god.
Since
Dude,
you're
this
responsible for over $500,000 of workers' comp a year, we're gonna need to chip into your salary to help.
dude, I
help
think
cover
that this person is honestly looking to like just throw shade at Jesse.
Stir
Yeah,
something
dude.
up
Just
here.
stirring the pot.
Yeah, dude, we've got some smack going on in the comments.
Jesse,
apparently,
don't
because-
don't admit to any felonies.
Yeah,
Not here,
exactly.
anyways.
That's
Plausible
the last
deniability,
thing,
buddy.
That's the last thing we need.
Plausible
We-
deniability.
Oh.
We might be
Plausible
we might,
deniability.
we might be an explicit show, but we're not like a safe haven for crimes.
Yeah. This is the guy you probably hit, eh?
Yo, totally. It's like this fucking idiot's always on his
He's
phone
like,
while he's
"Oh."
on a forklift. I'm taking this to Facebook.
Eh? They're trying to lock out and tag out something or like in the factory or something, and Jesse just whips it at someone because he's on his phone trying to send a voice message. Just nails someone. He needs to leave that story rest. Anywho,
Oh god. Okay, yeah. Moving back to
Moving
basketball.
on.
listen,
Um,
I want to end this NCAA topic on one thing because we talked about it before, and I'll bring it back up again. The NCAA has applied for federal antitrust laws, which essentially skirts them from a lot of laws regarding how they manage these players that are going to make money on them. So if that is granted, and I don't know what that looks like or where that is, but if it is granted, unfortunately, it gives the NCAA a larger power to say, look, if you're going to make money off of us, we're entitled to X percentage.
Exactly. And then it's the unfortunate truth that it's a business
Yeah.
and they're going to look out for themselves and their
Mhm.
profits, and they're not going to just let players make money off with
And-
their colors.
Yep. And the other thing
Well,
is too,
so
they have the
what
counter
if
argument
they-
to say we provide you guys with an education which is much more valuable than what.
And not even just an education, they
Okay.
offer them a platform to move on to the next level.
Yeah.
Not even like housing
And-
and fucking
Hang
like
on,
all
though,
like
hang on, though.
And
But
what are
what
players
happens-
going to do? What are players going to do if the NCAA just comes out and with its collection of schools that says, "Hey, we're taking 25 or 50% of this"? Like, what can
Literally.
players do?
nothing
Right?
because you're still gonna go to a top level school rather than a less known school because that's where you're
Yeah.
gonna get drafted from.
But hang on.
And
hang on.
that's where the NCAA has the power.
Yeah, but the NCAA also gives them a full ride for just talent.
That's what.
What
I
happens
said.
if they take that away?
Then
What happens if they make
Look,
them pay tuition?
There's going to be a lot
That's a
more
guar-
players going
that's a
straight to
gu-
the NBA.
Yeah,
That's a-
there's going.
yeah, there's gonna be a
players
lot
going
more
pro.
players just going
There's-
or to the
no, I
G League
know.
or to the G League
Yeah,
or honestly
but
to the G
that
League.
opens up different options for everyone
Yeah,
because
totally.
they can
There's-
still make their money.
Totally.
For the NCAA to remain relevant, that is the pull that they have to these athletes is that they have some sort of they have something that other leagues can't offer, and that they have an education available to them that they can offer a playing career sort of future because they offer this education, right?
So-
But that's
always
another
been the
outlook
NCAA's
for
pull.
it.
Yeah,
So
but
that's
dude,
another
think
outlet for
if they pull that out from under the rug on players, then they're just offering them the opportunity to make
Beck,
money
if-
on
if
their
I'm-
own image.
If
what's
I'm
more
making money,
secure? going and making a G League salary or making
if I'm
banking on
making
your
money,
image?
if I'm making money through ads and stuff,
Yeah.
and they say, okay, well, we're going to take your full ride away. I'm still because I want an education.
Joe Craig said then the schools lose money, and
Yeah,
he's totally right because
exactly.
players
Totally.
there's going to have to be a workaround where players can still make the NBA without going to school because there's no way every player can afford to pay to go to some of these schools.
Yeah, because like you get the high level players that are going to get the ad deals and going to have the money to pay their tuition, but then the bench players that
I'm
are
not
relying
saying-
on the
I'm not
fucking
saying
they're
take
relying
away
on
all
the full
this-
ride. But then
I'm
you
not
can't
saying-
give the full ride to some players and not other players based off the likeness of it. Like that just creates way more red tape. Like that's what I've been saying this whole time is that it's going to be so much red tape and so much paperwork and so much we have to define every single little thing so there's no snags and nobody fucking them over. Yeah, exactly. And it's going to take so long to come to a full agreement where everybody's happy that it's going to end up falling on the side of the NCAA because that's where the money is.
They're going to do some things temporarily over the next couple of years, probably on a trial basis. And if they don't work, they'll tweak it. They'll tweak more. They'll do other shit. So,
So
I'm assuming Jesse is on OCS saying Anthony.
So this guy did.
Chill
This
out.
guy did hit him with a skid.
So-
or two. That was
Oh,
So
crazy.
Jesse fully just whipped a combination walk at his fucking forehead.
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
there
Or he
there is
smoked him
a-
with a couple of skids. One of the two.
No, so this is a story that unfortunately may seem like it hurts some credibility or some reputation. So there's some dirt to be dug here, but it looks as though it's not going to be dug, and I think it's
Yeah, I
probably
I don't think that this is the right forum to do that in.
No, there's other opportunities, I'm sure, and more less public opportunities, maybe if there's some sort of reconciliation that needs to be made here. But I'm not here to play counselor. Luke's going to school for that, so leave that to Luke. Switching back to the NBA, just some quick coaching hires to cover. Chauncey Billups will be the next coach.
Yeah,
of
I
the
saw
Portland
that.
Trailblazers.
I like that move.
Yeah, it's irrelevant to the sports show. Thank you. But yeah, so 5-year deal for Chauncey Billups, 4 years with a 5th-year option. The current Clippers assistant is a 5-time All-Star and 2004 Finals MVP with Detroit Pistons. It sounds like he chose the Blazers because of his relationship with Neil Oshie during Oshie's time with the Clippers and when Billups was claimed off waivers by the Clippers. And actually, from something that was a little less expected, Damian Lillard came up publicly like he did for Jason Kidd.
Yeah.
But there was an endorsement there by Damian Lillard, and he was a real focal point in the coaching.
There was also something else that Damian Lillard said recently that I was a very big fan of. He said that someone tweeted Damian Lillard and they were like, if your spot on the Portland Trailblazers wasn't available anymore, where would you want to go? And Dame retweeted and went, if the Trailblazers didn't want me, I'd want to go to the Jazz or the Lakers.
Where did you see this?
It was on Instagram. I literally saw it on Instagram. No, dead ass. I saw it on his I didn't think,
so Dame Lillard tweeted that.
I didn't think
So
it was
Luke-
real, but it was tweeted by like ESPN or some shit. Like it was like a
Luke-
legitimate fucking.
Luke,
Was it responded to on like Twitter by Dame?
Yeah, that's what it said.
Yeah. So I am.
I'm just gonna check Dame Lillard's
straight
Twitter.
to Dame's
Yeah.
Twitter.
Yeah.
When
It
do you
could have been
have any
fake, but
idea?
it looked pretty real.
I'm not shitting on you. I highly
If it's fake, it's fake. But like, if the question was if the Trailblazers didn't want him, and he even said like if the Trailblazers don't want me, so like he wasn't like hating on the Trailblazers or anything.
No, I get
think-
that, but it's still I don't see this on Dame's
No.
Twitter at all.
From the timeline that you're describing, I really can't find this unless this was like right after the
Let me do some
playoffs
digging,
or
'cause
something.
I'm pretty sure I saved it, so let me do some digging.
We did.
The
Okay, so
thing
one
I
thing I
see here-
saw.
Yeah, it was the Photoshop thing
The
of him in a
Photoshop.
Jazz jersey.
Yeah,
I didn't see
And
that. I never saw
He
that.
literally
It says-
retweeted it and says horrible.
it's a horrible
Photoshop.
Photoshop.
So
Yeah. Maybe
I
that's
don't
not
know.
of interest to him. But just quickly, because I don't really want to get into Dame trade packages and stuff like that, because I think that's more of a subject for its own time. and maybe when we get a little more into the offseason and closer to the draft. But one place, because Joe mentioned that they would never trade him to a Western Conference team. We just haven't got that comment up yet. Joe, I think like Dame Lillard, if Dame Lillard wants out, and we saw it with James Harden, we've seen where guys will make requests to go to certain places, and other teams are scared off by this because they know that there is no future for them with this guy. We know that James Harden has a contract that runs until next season, and he said, look, get me to Brooklyn or Philly. And I don't think we heard anything from teams that really could have used him. Like, I'm sure the Raptors would have appreciated a run at it. I'm sure the Celtics.
I don't think any team would.
No, exactly. And I think a lot of teams would have been more encouraged to throw their hat in the ring if James Harden hadn't been as vocal about that. And I think the other Dame Lillard's contract's a little different. It's 24-25 is when it's going to expire. But at the same time, our team's going to pay up for a guy who has no intent of being there. Because we've seen it before where those
Absolutely
situations.
Not.
No.
They're coming from a place that they don't want to. Sorry to cut you off. They're coming from a place that they don't want to be already. Why would they be like, oh yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna go to another place that I don't want to be.
Well, I don't think Dame doesn't want to be in Portland.
No. That's not what I'm saying.
Yet.
But I'm saying for other players in particular, right?
I think if Dame really doesn't want to be in Portland, because I think it's a good situation there for him with the fan base. And look, there is a bit of a
Portland.
Change of heart. He is Portland,
Yeah.
and that team is built. That is Damian Lillard's team, and I think a lot of places that he would get traded to, I'm not sure if it would be so much his team. There are a few teams I can think of where, yeah, maybe it would be more his team, like AKA maybe like the Celtics or the Knicks or something like that.
Raptors,
but if he wants to go, but if he wants to go to a legitimate situation where he's competing for a championship, he's playing beside megastar. Like he's playing beside.
Yeah,
megastar.
they're not gonna be non-content with him there, but he's not gonna be. It's not gonna be his team. You're right.
No, I think I wanted to say this, and I you guys might have some things to say about it, but one team that really came to mind because Luke brought up his team, obviously the Lakers, and from not only from like a hometown standpoint, but from what an asset standpoint, I think the Warriors would be throwing their hat in the ring. And
I think so too.
I think Andrew Wiggins, as you know, we talked about his contract before. He's still proven value, and at his age, certainly has room to improve. And we could see maybe in a better situation where he is asked more of him, like because we know Minnesota, like that's not ideal for young players at this point.
Yeah.
So maybe Portland, where it's a bit more established and there's some veteran leaders there, maybe he excels more there. We would obviously, I think we'd be talking about James Wiseman going the other way. I think that would be a real solution to Portland.
You think that a Damian Lillard trade wouldn't involve Clay?
No, I don't think it would because they're building around. If they're trading for Dame,
I'm not taking that if I'm Portland.
No, they're committing to the timeline of Steph, Clay, and Dre, and I think that's what they're trying to do. But they're trying to balance two things. But they also now have 2 lottery picks in 7 and 14.
Yeah, the Warriors have 2 lottery picks that they can use. They have some decent assets and young players.
That future first. Yeah, I think they fit what Portland would be looking for in some maybe maintaining some level
mediocrity.
Of mediocrity to keep the fan base engaged. Then they offer like a glimpse into the future and what is considered to be a deep draft. And then they also get Wiseman, who is very much still a blue chip prospect.
Highly touted.
Very raw, but very, very skilled for his size, but also has the physical tools to be a lot in this league. And that's and obviously Dame being from Oakland. Like, I think that makes a lot of sense. Maybe I'm sure there's teams out there that would probably be trying to beat that offer. But if I'm Portland, like that gives me pretty much everything that I'm looking for. And yeah, it's Dame Lillard. Like you're going to get more first, you're going to get more players, but that's probably one of the better starting points you're going to get in terms of trade offer.
I totally agree, and the Warriors do have the assets to make it happen. I think. Yeah. I don't think there's really any teams in the league that have enough to offer for Dame to still be a contender. I think the Warriors may be the only one, to be honest with you.
Like unless like, because Boston's not trying to go. I wouldn't, if I'm Boston, I'm not trying to give up a young Jaylen Brown who had a breakout season and a guy who can defend like 1 through 4, like those young wings who can play defense and handle the ball, like have those guard skills, are so valuable in this league. And we know Damian Lillard's obviously a way better player than Jaylen Brown is, but you're also banking on that youth as well.
Yeah.
Like,
long term, and it doesn't really fit the Celtics timeline to make that happen. So I don't really see that happening.
And we also just saw.
I don't see him getting traded at all, to be honest. I see him.
No.
Neither do I.
I see him either.
Jaylen Brown.
No, Dame.
Oh,
don't see him
Dame.
getting moved.
I don't see him getting moved.
Unless he
least-
comes out and says, "I want to leave."
Unless he
Unless he
pulls a
wants to.
Harden.
Yeah.
Exactly. I guess since we've been a little bit more conclusive on that, the Dallas Mavericks are going to hire Jason Kidd to be their next head coach,
Yeah.
and Nike
I like
executive
that move.
Nico Harrison to run their basketball operations and serve as their GM.
I
think
like that move.
I like that a lot too, because I know like Mark Cuban loves to have guys that he has connections with. Obviously, Jason Kidd has a lot of status in that franchise.
He's he's still a big deal in Dallas.
Still a big deal in Dallas, but not only that, in the league too.
No,
Like, that
totally.
guy
I love that move. I think Jason Kidd's like a really underrated coach, to be honest.
I think Jason Kidd was maybe a coach that came into the league. Like he went literally from retirement to the Nets head coach in one season.
Literally.
Like he retired with the Nets. I think he was a little bit before his time. Obviously, like being one of the better point guards in the modern era, he certainly has basketball IQ. We saw it with
You
his
have to
assists
spend
and everything.
with coaching though. You have to spend some time as an assistant to learn how it goes. Like Chauncey
Absolutely.
Billups has been an assistant for how many years now, and he just got his first
like at
Hoots,
least
you're right.
5 years.
You're right.
Yeah.
Coaching is a big thing that you can't rush. You have to like
No.
you have to learn how it works and learn how a team dynamic works and like be able to do that. Like that's why I didn't love the Steve Nash hire too, and it showed that he didn't play his team as well as like a high level coach would, because he didn't have the experience as a coach.
I
Let
think
alone
that was
a coach
more-
that's supposed to handle Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie
Yeah.
Irving.
I think that was more
You
why,
learn
though.
certain things
And
when
well, that's why
you've
we're
been
seeing-
assisting for a while.
Yeah.
Sorry, go
Like Phil Jackson was an assistant on the Bulls for a long time before he was the head coach. Like
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and Luke, you make a really good point. I think former players are becoming more and more of the trend, and I think it's a very good thing because these guys understand basketball better
Totally.
than anyone who's coming out of.
I totally
any of the
agree.
coaching ranks.
I think you're going to
Because
see
these guys
younger
have played the
coaches
game.
too.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys who connect with these younger players and guys that these guys have looked up to.
honestly,
Like,
coaching in the NBA has become people managing. If you're
And
coaching,
that's,
if you're coaching a contender, you're managing players and you're managing personalities, and
And-
that's become a huge part of coaching,
Yeah.
like almost an essential part of being a coach, right?
But that's why the best coaches nowadays are players. Like I think Steve Nash is going to be a great coach because he commands that respect and he knows how to handle guys like Kevin Durant. And it's not that he doesn't. have
well, that's
coaching
why they
experience,
hired
like,
him, right?
because he was once one of them. He was
Yeah.
once one of them.
He was an MVP.
understands all that.
He was the best player in the league at one point.
Yeah, he understands all
arguably.
that stuff.
Yeah, I knew you were going to not end that as
But
he was the best player in the league.
He was
at one
one. He was one of the best players.
He
in
was
the
a
league.
top 3 player in the league for a couple of years.
like
Totally.
Chauncey Billups, like long NBA career, like 2004 Finals MVP,
NBA
like,
champion,
yeah,
multiple
like
team
guys-
NBA champion.
Like guys that these guys hear their names and they're like, oh yeah, like that guy. played,
Yeah.
like that guy. Even Ty Lue, like not exactly the most illustrious career, but like guys know that guy was in the league. That guy did some
You
stuff.
guys think we'll ever see Jordan coach the Hornets?
No.
No.
I don't know.
Unless Jordan like just
If
wants
they
to, like,
get bad enough, I could see him. I could see it happening for a season.
If he gets bad enough, he may come out of retirement again. Just saying.
no,
But
that's not how. No,
I'm just
I
kidding.
knew,
No.
I knew a comment like that was going to be thrown around by someone.
dude. If that happened,
Yeah.
I would watch every game purely just to watch him brick every shot he put up.
yeah.
He's
Um,
so slow. Like he's an old man now.
He put
Like,
on
he-
weight.
Yeah.
He put
Yeah,
on weight.
well, of course he retired like from a career of working out every fucking day. I'd put on weight fucking too.
Yeah. Literally, it's pretty much coming off a high, right? That's
Literally.
exactly what it is. It's coming off the grind.
Can
But
you imagine fucking
I'm
Miles
just saying.
Bridges and Michael Jordan?
I couldn't imagine like Michael Jordan. Like it's at
Dude,
the
I'd
point now where
cry.
Michael Jordan
Lonzo?
kind of,
This guy would just be standing in their offensive area or offensive end. He'd be like, "Fuck defense! I'm just standing in their offense."
He'd just be cherry picking. He'd just be standing at the top of the key, just waiting for the ball.
Yeah, literally.
Honestly,
I really wonder what the players would. I wonder what players around him would do.
I would try to dunk on him. Like first game, I would literally wait for the opportunity and I would try to fucking slam one on him.
Honestly, yeah. Like if I'm LeBron, honestly, the first guy I think of is LeBron.
Dude, if I'm Pat Connaughton, I'm going up for a dunk against fucking 50-year-old Michael Jordan, man.
Jesus,
how many people can say they've dunked on Mike?
No, exactly.
Exactly.
But what happens when Michael Jordan just decides to like get back in shape and dunks on someone?
I think that
he got dunked on by a 50-year-old.
I think that his joints and his joints are not. I think they're
no, but I think that's some career-ending shit.
That's some like he'll never walk again.
Shit.
I remember Vince Carter going up for a dunk, and he's halfway through the air, realizes he's not gonna make it, and then just comes down and does like the shittiest little layup. And I can just imagine that would be Mike's entire season. He'd just be going up for posterizing dunks, not getting high enough.
Hey.
Oh fuck!
Mike goes to like pump fake the three in the corner. Then sees like Ivica Zubac roll over, and obviously the Jordan mentality. He sees like this 6'2" guy when really Zubac is like 7 foot.
Fuck it.
Kawhi is defending Mike, and he tries the pump fake, and Kawhi just looks at him and goes, "Dude, I used to watch you do that when I was a kid. That's not gonna fucking work."
Yeah,
like I know all your moves. Like I used to watch you play. I know all your moves. I played against
learned
you
this
and Kobe.
from you.
Literally.
Yeah.
I played against Kobe, and I watched you. I'm like, I know what you're doing.
Yeah, literally. But going back to a more realistic scenario where Jordan like maybe becomes an interim coach, Jordan's past the point where I think his tactics would work or resonate with like this younger generation of players.
He'd be less Air Jordan and more like fucking cinder block feet Jordan.
No, but he'd be the same. Like
he could have done better.
I know. I was really trying to think of something, but I just couldn't fucking think of anything.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, that could have been better. No, you're right.
Yeah,
no, you're definitely right. I just
there was an opportunity there.
There was nothing there.
There was definitely an opportunity, but you could. There was.
I tried to think of something better, but there was just nothing in the tank.
That's all right.
Floor Jordan.
Yeah.
Cigar
Jordan. Cigar smoke Jordan.
6 handicap Jordan.
I guess.
Yeah, going back to that idea of Jordan coaching, like this younger generation is soft, and that shit wouldn't resonate with them. Like the way he would coach, it just wouldn't resonate.
No, it'd be like
you fucking suck.
Literally all of them.
Torts gets a bad rap, man. He's an amazing coach. People want to play for Torts.
It just doesn't work.
Like if you interview,
a lot of times it doesn't work.
Yeah,
but it's aging out. That sort of coaching is aging out now. You're more there. When he was in Columbus, like you asked any of his players, and they were like, "I love Torts. Like I want to play for Torts." Like even in like,
but there
was an episode about
ask the guys that
there was an episode of fucking what's the I'm terrible. I can't fucking remember the name of the podcast. The one that Pink Whitney's from. Fucking
Spittin' Chicklets.
Spittin' Chicklets. Thank you. There was an episode of Spittin' Chicklets where they were like talking about like had players that played under Torts, and they were like, "There's not a guy in that dressing room that didn't like him." Other than in New York, like there was like times like Sean Avery and shit, like obviously, but like the majority of the time he was really good at like winning over a locker room, and he was like people wanted to play for him because he wanted to win.
Yeah,
and I don't know. I always thought the Torts got a really bad rap.
But if MJ goes to coach the Hornets, I'm not kidding you.
Miles Bridges would probably quit basketball.
I swear to God, half that team is requesting trades.
Oh, totally.
Half that team is, or they're all going to free agency because
Terry Rozier would kill himself.
Yeah, like what
the fuck are you thinking for, you pussy?
LaMelo would probably
as soon as those contracts are gone,
LeVar would try to come up and like.
Dude, I forgot about LaMelo. Bro, I forgot
about
LaMelo. Oh my god,
LeVar would have it out for him.
Dude, LeVar and MJ would have a 1v1 like 1 month into the season, guaranteed.
And it would end up with fists thrown.
Yeah,
definitely hilarious to watch.
No. it'd be this like Aussie rules version of basketball where it's just like rare.
Wow.
Well, no,
rare-
look, they're both
basketball.
old, so it would just turn into a golf game, and whoever wins the golf game gets their way.
We've
honestly,
seen
fair.
LeVar's jump shot though. You think anything about that guy smooth? Like you're
Dude,
wrong.
we've seen all of his son's jump shots. Other than Melo, they're not very smooth.
Yeah.
Even
Wow.
even Lamelo is like questionable. Like it's like okay, how does that work exactly? Like because even
It works.
I
It does work though.
It works.
Yeah,
but,
which
like,
is weird.
No. But we saw it
Super
with
weird, but,
Lonzo
like, it
too,
works.
where like Lonzo shot a decent like 34% from behind the line in his first season. I was like, okay, like you know, there's something there to build.
You look
off. Yeah, it
retarded
looks
doing
good.
it,
Dude.
but it's
Yeah,
fine.
but it
Dude,
seems
I
to
swear
work.
to God,
I've
Lonzo
kind of
has
grown to
changed
like.
his,
I've kind of grown to like Lonzo's stroke. To be honest with you,
Dude,
I've kind of
It's
grown to
gotten
like.
way
Lonzo
better though. It's
has
gotten
changed
way better.
his-
ugly, but
has changed his stroke like 4 different times, man.
But
I
sometimes you have
swear
to.
his stroke has been changed
It's
so
been
many
this
times.
constant progression where he's taking the ball from here to here
And throwing it
here, and then to, like,
across
here.
his. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
It always gets further over every couple
like
seasons.
No,
next
it's
season you're
weird.
gonna see it go.
Next
like
season
this.
he's gonna be shooting over here, man. Like
We're just gonna see Lonzo become like the first like ambidextrous shooter just because he's like going from here.
No,
and he's going
you
from
watch him go
here.
up and you don't know he'll like switch hands midair and like bring it across his face, bring it across his face again, and then fucking
Yeah.
shoot.
Just does it on like Tristan Thompson. Tristan Thompson like
Dude,
bro,
that
like,
would
does
low
that-
key be dirty. Can you imagine that? Like he brings
we
it
had this
across.
conversation last week.
He brings it
Yeah.
across his face. You think like he backs up to shoot and then brings it across and fucking just nails it. That would be gross.
Yeah,
Like,
we
that would be
talked about that
undefendable.
last week.
Yeah,
I don't know. I've always been a Lonzo fan, to be honest. Lonzo's always been like I've always been a Lonzo.
Yeah.
Even when he got traded. Like he's always been a solid player.
he's always been a good point guard. Like,
Yeah, he's
never
been a good and really good defensively too.
Yeah. It's just there was so much expected in that number 2 spot, and it's
Yeah.
just, sometimes it takes more time, especially for point
Exactly.
guards, I'd say.
And I honestly think that the Pelicans have really helped him grow because he hasn't been in like that big spotlight that he was with the Lakers.
well, that's exactly it, right? He's a like as outspoken as his dad is. Like you don't see Lonzo coming out and saying shit. Like he just does his own
It's
thing.
been proven that players develop better in low pressure situations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Clippers
I
are up
think,
31-24.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, Reggie's
So-
shooting free throws right
Yeah,
now.
he's about to shoot the
So-
second one.
You bring up a good point because we know where the series is at.
Zubats
It's
is
the
out
Clippers
tonight
and the
too?
Suns.
Oh shit.
We know where the Clippers are at in the series, and we also know where the Suns are at. And there's also a notable figure on that team who hasn't won a chip, and it's Chris Paul.
Chris
And
Paul.
it brings us to a topic about veterans who haven't won a chip. And I know we've talked about guys who are most deserving. So I think we should talk about guys who are more likely to get a ring. In that, like we'd love to see CP3 win a ring.
It's tough. That question is tough because you never know where players are gonna go. Like I would say that deserving of a ring, Russell Westbrook deserves a ring more than most players in the NBA right now.
Russ,
Is he-
Melo.
But is he gonna get one in his current situation? No. Washington
not in
is
his
nowhere
no.
near the team they need to be to win a championship.
We also don't know like what Westbrook's mindset is going to be when his contract's up. Like, is he just going to be like sick of mediocrity and he's willing to sacrifice the?
I would
the
hope
stats
so,
and the
man.
touches?
I would hope so, man.
too. Because Russ, and I hate to say it, but if Russ keeps going the way he's going, in that he wants to be the guy and he's still trying to be the guy, his body's going to crash and burn on him.
Because
And
other than
Yeah.
other than a championship, what has Russ not done?
No, exactly. Like
Exactly.
it's Russ is at the point where he's done everything he's needed to secure his legacy as someone who won't be forgotten in the league. Like you're
He
not
just
going to
needs to
forget the
win
guy that. Yeah,
He just needs to
And
win a chip.
and he's not. I don't think he's at the point yet. I also think it's more or less not his fault because of his contract, and he totally deserved the contract. But like, there's not really any contenders that are willing to like take on Russell Westbrook to be that valuable role player, facilitating point guard that some championship teams do need. So I think, are we going to see, the real question is, are we going to see him in 2 years or whatever the timeline is say, you know what, like I've done everything, I've made my money, I want to go win a chip, So
And
I
then
think
at
it's
that
just-
point, I honestly see him signing with signing with a team like the Lakers. Like that's like he's exactly what the Lakers need, except for with the shooter. Like he's
The
like he
Clippers.
would,
I keep
Or
saying
the
Clippers.
Clippers. Or he would
Yeah.
fit good with the Clippers too.
Or even
Like,
Boston in a couple of years. Like Boston,
Yeah.
even
need the
fucking
explosive
even
Westbrook.
Utah. Like he's a better version of fucking Mike Conley.
Mike Conley,
to be honest.
yeah. And it's not like Mike Conley exactly lights it up from three either. And they
Exactly.
have enough shooters. Like
Exactly.
yeah, Gobert's a black hole, but like they have enough shooters. And Westbrook, like I'm sure Westbrook's got the work ethic to improve his jumper over time. The other thing is too is like as his body goes, he's not going to be elevating as much. So there's not going to be like
He's not going to be the guy with the ball in his hands all the time like he's
He's
used
gonna
to.
have to shoot.
yeah, I think he's just going to get to a point where he's going to improve because he realizes he has to shoot.
Because
Yeah,
he's
he has to do certain
it's
things.
either learn a jump shot or stay relevant.
Or
Well,
not stay relevant.
Or
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that it's
Crashing burn.
it's either become irrelevant or develop a jump shot. I think he'll
Yeah.
develop a
That's-
jump shot.
That's just
36-26 at the end of the first.
Reggie Jackson is a fucking
Yeah.
he's a monster.
Yeah.
He's proven that he's
So-
good enough to be a starting point guard.
So we talked about Melo. We haven't talked about Melo. We talked about Westbrook. Do you guys think this is CP3's best chance to win a ring this year?
It's been his best chance in his whole career, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, far and away, it's been his best chance. But like, if it doesn't happen this year, and we've talked about Milwaukee, and there's how we think there's a very likely chance that doesn't happen. Is it like, does he run it back? Does he what happens there? Does he eventually go back to LA? Like,
I honestly don't know if Chris Paul wins the championship if he doesn't win it this year.
What's his
Yeah.
contract?
To be honest.
his
Yeah,
so
true.
his
I don't know.
contract-
I also don't know his contract.
His contract, like he's got a player option for $44.5 million next year, but
That's a lot of money.
from what we've talked about and what I've heard, he plans on turning it down in search of a longer term contract, something more in the
It's like a
range of
4x4
3 years.
or something, right?
3
Yeah.
years, 100
3
million.
by 4.
That's what he wants.
Yeah.
3 years, 100 million. That's what
And
he
he's
wants.
earned that. I think he's earned
Yeah.
that.
But like
This
where-
will
I
this will
don't
be the
It might
last big
handicap his chance, though.
this will be the last
Yeah.
big contract he'll sign if he signs it. He's gonna
It
have to
might-
make the decision whether he wants to contend or whether he wants money.
Well, and I think too, like Chris Paul's definitely a guy that we've seen that can age well. So like maybe
Yeah.
in 3 years' time when this contract's up, maybe then it's like, okay, I'll go ring chase or whatever.
Didn't you say he has a player option for this year?
Yes, he does, but he's gonna turn it down.
But he's going to turn it down in search of a 3-year contract.
Of a
Yeah.
longer, of
Yeah,
a
so
longer
he's
deal.
gonna be a free agent then.
Yes, he'll be a free
Yeah, but he's
agent.
not going to want to go to a contender. He wants that 100 million.
Yeah, he's not Luke. He's not going to the Lakers.
No, I'm
let's
not
just
thinking
not-
he is.
no, no,
I'm just saying like
no.
I didn't think it was possible that he
But
was gonna leave. I
Pooks,
didn't think
Pooks is
No, no,
dying.
no.
He wants him to go to the Lakers.
There's,
No,
there's
like
the-
I wouldn't mind it, but I'd prefer someone else to CP to be
There's
honest.
the possibility, and honestly, if Chris Paul just gets to the point where he's like, "Yeah, I'd want to ring chase," I'm sure he'd want to team up with LeBron. Like LeBron's one of his best friends in the NBA. But the fact of the matter is that Chris Paul.
I don't think he fits the
sounds like he
Lakers
wants
super
to-
well.
Chris Paul
How?
fits any team. Chris Paul fits
How?
any team.
Chris
How?
Paul, you can't
Yeah.
you can't put Chris Paul on a roster with LeBron James and Anthony Davis and say that wouldn't be a fucking unreal.
I don't
team.
think it wouldn't work, but I think there's better options.
that's
than-
what
Sure, there might be.
that's what I just
Yeah.
said. I prefer someone else, but at the end of the day, it would fucking work.
Yeah. At
Yeah,
the end of the
it would
day,
work.
like,
I'm just
we've seen it with Chris Paul and Devin Booker. Like Chris Paul can play with the most ball dominant of players.
Exactly,
And
because
it
he doesn't need to have the ball every possession. He can
No,
assist. He's everywhere on the
And-
court. He's like an
And it's been
offensive
way better.
he's an
It's way
offensive
better for his
multi-tool.
health. Yeah,
True.
it's been way better for his health too. But he played all 70. I think he played almost all 72 games this year. Like he was at least 70 games.
No, honestly, I think you're right.
Yeah. Just a quick mention on the list that you brought. Dwight Howard did win a ring, so we'll take him off. The
Did
next
he?
one we got. Yeah.
Yeah, with the Lakers. Oh yeah, shit. I was
Oh,
like,
yeah,
what the
yeah,
fuck? I was like, when
Yeah,
the
my
fuck
bad.
did Dwight win a championship?
Yeah.
No, true.
Yeah.
yeah. That list is
Uh,
old because it had someone else on it too that I was like, oh, they've won a ring. Oh, it was AD.
Yeah. Harden. I think that's gonna happen next year. Like I that team's now
I
got
do
something
too.
to prove. Like that Yeah, I think they need.
Yeah, they need some redemption from next year.
Well, they needed that kick in the ass. They needed that kick in the
Yeah.
ass, to be honest with you.
And,
You know what?
injuries screwed them too a little bit. But
Absolutely.
They're gonna make some changes and they're gonna come out fired.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
the
you're
other
right.
thing is too is like there's a not only a chemistry bump to get over, but there's also a maturity bump to get over when you're playing with guys like that, and especially, and I'm not saying especially KD, but like look, KD got put in a position where he needed to drag his team over the line, and ultimately, like there was some moments where KD probably could have made the better basketball play and passing up a shot and giving up.
Yeah, but
So there's that maturity thing because we know those guys.
the
are a bit more
Nets are
personable.
the Nets are far from irrelevant.
Oh no, the Nets are very, very.
The Nets are
relevant.
very far
The
from
furthest
irrelevant.
thing from irrelevant. Come
Yeah,
on.
the
Yeah.
Nets. I literally said very far from irrelevant.
I wouldn't honestly.
Oh, I
would
thought you
not be
said kind of
surprised.
far.
No, I said very far
I
from
was
irrelevant.
like, yeah, okay, maybe a little further than that.
And this is gonna cover the next one. Well, not the next one, but one on my list, Blake Griffin. I would not be surprised if that guy's back in Brooklyn.
He did play good in the playoffs.
He did,
He'll be
but
back.
I think
He'll take the veterans minimum to come back too.
he will because the Brooklyn Nets put him not only in the best situation to win, but also stay healthy.
Exactly.
And look, he's clearly found some chemistry there, and he clearly appreciates that organization. I think he's gonna want.
and he likes it too. He's having fun.
Yeah, it's chill, right? Like it's not
42 to 30 for the Clippers right now.
Yeah, Melo.
See, that's weird one because I don't think Portland's winning a chip for at least 4 or 5 years, if that, and I don't
No.
know if any other teams
yeah,
can
how
pick him
many?
up.
So,
Realistically,
veterans
how many
minimum
years do you think
contract. But
Sorry, go
The
ahead. Go
guy-
ahead.
He signed
Like,
he
that's
signed a
his minimum
1-year
contract.
deal. I'm
yeah,
pretty sure.
so he's a free agent again, and he had
Oh
probably
my
one of his
God.
more efficient seasons this
Yeah.
year. Like honestly,
Yeah,
I
and he
think
was really
as a
good in
spark plug-
playoffs. He was very, very good. Yeah, as a bench player that can kind of hit some shots right off the bench, like you said, spark
Yeah.
plug.
Melo
definitely.
has been that guy since he got to Portland, and I think he fits Portland really well. But my issue with Melo is that I don't know if he fits another team as well as he fits Portland, and I don't know if another team takes a
Yeah.
chance on him. At least a contender.
But we've seen now that Melo can play in a less
Totally.
glamorous role because that was a huge issue in his time with OKC and Houston. Now the expectation is you're signing a bench spark plug, kind of like a Lou Williams type guy, where
Has
you're
Bo-
just getting some offense.
I'm sorry, has Boogie been playing all playoffs?
Yeah,
Is
he's
he
been playing
actually?
with the Clips. Yeah,
no,
he
but like
signed
has
on
he?
bench-
But has he been injured? I feel like he's been injured.
No, he hasn't been injured. He's
Really?
played all playoffs.
He just
Yeah,
hasn't
like
played.
he-
Ivica Zubac just played. Boogie's been really good actually
Yeah.
in playoffs this year.
I mean, yeah, as good as you can expect of the guy. But Paul George.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. Paul George.
Paul George, I think he'll win one.
Do you think it's in LA?
No, I don't.
I don't know.
I
It
don't.
depends on what they what moves they make.
Honestly,
yeah,
like
it depends on the offseason moves.
as
It's
the
clear,
Clippers
though.
the Clippers are right now, I'm sorry, but I don't think they win a chip
No.
as they are right now.
I agree. Actually, I do agree because
I mean,
look,
but
we've seen it. We've seen it with Milwaukee and we've seen it with Brooklyn. That third star insurance is huge. As deep
It's
as
all
your
the
supporting
difference.
cast may be,
that's
yeah,
why I
it-
think they need to go out and get a point guard. But
They-
Reggie's
they-
proven that he can be that. this year.
Totally, but as the team stands right now, I don't see this Clippers team winning a championship.
no.
You don't
I
think if
I think
Kawhi's
Luke's
healthy,
right.
they could win this year?
No,
But
I don't see
Kawhi's
them beating
not healthy.
Milwaukee.
That's the unfortunate reality.
Yeah, and honestly, like you can you can what if and all you want, but Kawhi's injured and they're facing elimination tonight, and he's not playing. That means he's not playing for the rest of the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's Luke's totally right with
There's
that. If there was gonna
no
be a
way.
time-
Exact. If Kawhi could play, he would be playing right now. There's no way he wouldn't be.
Yeah. If it were just like a knee sprain or something, like Kawhi's had like a week or two at this point. Like we saw James Harden play in a strained hamstring. It's not impossible.
And he's
If
not
there
the
was-
guy that sits out playoff games to like if he doesn't have
No.
to.
Especially from a guy who's been like criticized in the past for load management and such.
Yeah.
And he is an ultra competitor. Like there's no way if he could go, he wouldn't be up
Especially
there.
in the playoffs. He turns into a dog in the playoffs. And
Yeah, exactly. And we know now, even like if Kawhi was there, it wouldn't be the same Kawhi. So yeah, I think
No, but
as good
it's
as
not like they're not putting up a fight without him.
No, but
No.
without him, do they stand a chance against the Milwaukee Bucks? No.
yeah, even.
But my
look,
point is,
like,
if Kawhi comes back next year and they keep that team together and they play like they did this year in playoffs, they're in the conference final. It's not really something to scuff at.
Not
I
to
think
scuff
we're-
at, but I don't think that they win it. I don't think that they win a championship as they are right now.
no, there's
I
gonna
don't.
be
I don't. I
teams
don't.
where-
I don't think that they beat. I don't think that they beat a fully healthy Lakers team. I think that they would have a trouble with a fully healthy Nuggets team. Like I think that
They wouldn't beat a fully
they
healthy Nets team.
yeah they
Yeah.
no fucking way they beat a fully healthy
But
Nets team.
Here's
And the
Bucks
Jazz-
don't even-
And the
The
Jazz
Bucks don't
came
even beat
hella
fully
close to
healthy
taking
Nets
them
team.
down, man. The Jazz came really
Yeah.
close to knocking them off. Like I don't.
Here's
I
the-
don't. Sorry, Beck, go for it.
The Jazz were the
No.
1 seed though. Like
the other thing to consider about it is the expectation was that both Kawhi and PG were going to be free agents. PG is committed. I think Kawhi, as much as I think it's a near certainty now that Kawhi is going to return, but Kawhi still holds the power here as the guy who's out of the contract. And I think Kawhi goes and says, look, it's clear that that I and others can't stay healthy in the most neat, essential of times. We need that third star. And I think the Clippers know, like, if they don't go get that guy, and it was the same with PG, then Kawhi's not there.
I agree. Because if they're not winning, Kawhi's not sticking around. And I think that was his big thing about the Raptors was that he didn't think that they were going to be the same
No.
team that they were and that they won a championship, but they don't win that championship if Kevin Durant or Clay are out. So like, I mean, I think that's exactly what he saw in the Raptors, that they weren't going to win whether he was there or not. And so he left. And I think that Beck, that's a really good point that if he sees that same thing in the Clippers, he's not going to stick around.
It's all about sustainability. Like, Kawhi
Totally.
just wants to win.
Yeah, exactly.
don't-
He just wants to win and he wants to win
I think-
now.
As much as he loves LA, like, at the end of the day, he's an ultra competitive basketball player who just wants to win.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there's another team in LA that wants to win too.
There's another team in LA whose cap sheet isn't as clean and won't be able to sign Kawhi.
I laughed.
And-
I laughed after I said it for a reason.
And who absolutely
I know,
sold
but
this
hey,
season.
We love to dream. We
What
love
the
to
fuck
dream.
are you talking about, Justin?
Yeah, what the hell, man?
What was it? Since 2010, they haven't been out in the first round?
What? They
hadn't
haven't been to
even
the
been in
playoffs since
playoffs.
2013.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought you were talking about the Lakers.
We are.
we are.
We're talking about LeBron. He's talking about LeBron.
LeBron.
Not that
LeBron. You knew what I meant. Come on.
And
What?
LeBron's
I know
LeBron.
LeBron.
I
That's
don't.
the
You're a
first time
Bron fan,
LeBron's
come
ever
on.
lost in his first round. That's the first
Oh,
time.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
it's the first time. Okay.
That,
yeah.
yeah, that's what he was talking about.
That's what I was talking about
Yeah,
selling.
there we go. Bridgie,
Well,
I'm
it's
sorry.
injuries.
We're going back to the Bridgie slander again, bud. That was a complete misexecution of words again.
That's
And
okay.
you completely
That's right.
I got
And you
what
know
he
what?
meant. I got
And
what he
You know
meant.
what?
No, you completely skewed the concept for like for Luke and I here. Like that was just
Totally.
a-
But at the
Yeah,
end of the
that's
day,
brutal.
you can say what you want. They didn't lose because they weren't skilled.
no.
I'm sorry, they didn't.
There's arguments to be made like the Brooklyn Nets about the Lakers and their health. Like it's,
Exactly.
You know, it's
That
the
Brooklyn team
reality
is
of it.
fully healthy. They don't lose. They don't lose to fucking Milwaukee, or at least I don't think they lose to Milwaukee.
No.
Same
No,
with the
you're right,
Lakers.
you're
If
right,
they were
you're
fully
right.
healthy all season, they don't lose to the Suns.
Yeah, like we saw how close Brooklyn still came to
For
friggin'
real.
beating these guys off. Like, look, and we saw it with the Raptors too. We saw the luck that it took to beat some of these good teams. Like we saw what it took for them to beat the Warriors. We saw what it took for them to beat the Sixers. Like you do need that luck, and you need to play well enough to have that luck.
Totally.
So that's just, and I think that's why, like, we're seeing Milwaukee finally get those rolls, those bounces, that sort of stuff. And like Luke and I said, we just haven't seen that gear. So
I don't even think we've seen their full gear yet.
no, and I would be excited to see it.
Me
I
too.
would be really excited to see it. Dame Lillard, I think the ship has sailed on him winning a championship in Portland.
I think so too.
Like I think they know that they just don't have the young assets to go and acquire a third star, especially one that fits with this team right now. And we've seen it by what they've been trying to do by acquiring like Covington and Nurkic and good like role players and establish a deep team. but it just hasn't worked out. Like star power is just become more and more like valuable in this league, and it's becoming more and more clear.
Like as a necessity, like you can't win.
Yeah,
without it.
you can't win without. Aside from last season where no team had a big three, you can't win without a big three in this league. You can't.
Yeah,
I don't think there's an argument to be made there.
or a very very deep big two.
But like a LeBron James, Anthony Davis type big two, not a Dame
Yes.
Lillard, CJ McCollum type, because that's
And honestly, like the Utah Jazz were prime proof of that. Like
Yes.
they had one of the deepest teams in the NBA, and they still lost to a Clippers team without Kawhi because they don't have a big three.
Yes, exactly. And Luke, you're totally right when you say that, because you can win with a big two when your names are LeBron James and Anthony Davis, but when your
Yes, you
big
can.
two is Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, that's an issue. And you can call Mike Conley a part of that, but then you're talking about one of the like lesser big threes.
And it's not even like the Jazz aren't an amazing team. It's just they need another person to take the defensive stress off of Donovan, because Rudy's a star, but Rudy's a defensive star. Rudy's not an offensive center at all. So that puts all the pressure on Donovan Mitchell, and that's why you saw guys like Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson have huge seasons, because those are the dudes he's offloading to when he's got all those double teams.
As good as Joe Ingles and Bojan Bogdanovic are, they need a two-way force there that's gonna like, because look, Bojan Bogdanovic and Joe Ingles are good on their day, but they can't consistently erase the black hole that is Rudy Gobert.
No.
And Donovan
Right,
Mitchell
and-
clearly can't do it on his own.
And I think that Rudy gets a lot more hate than he deserves. Like he's a defensive juggernaut, and I think that he gets a lot more hate than he does purely because he doesn't play an offensive brand of basketball that we're seeing a lot of centers go to.
Yep.
But I still think that Jazz team needs another offensive threat, like another solid offensive threat.
I think the hate stems from, we know what Rudy Gobert is supposed to give you on the defensive end, and frankly, we saw it exposed. And the one time we saw it exposed, there was nothing going on the other end for him.
Yeah.
And it became all the more apparent. It's defense or bust with this guy, and frankly, it got exploited like almost every other center does in the league, where teams go small, space it out, and centers can't guard in the perimeter.
Yeah, and we're seeing it more and more. The modern day center is not the old rim rolling center that we're
exactly
so accustomed to seeing in the league.
And you have to be kind of a special rim rolling type talent in order to do that in today's league.
It's 46-42 for
exactly.
48-42 for LA right now.
Yeah.
PG just hit a jumper.
I think there was one more in this discussion, and frankly, I kind of think it's a pretty quick one. I don't think Kemba Walker's going to win a ring in his career.
No, me neither.
No, I don't think so either, unfortunately.
I don't
Unless-
growing up, but
Unless he stays in OKC for a while and becomes like one of their veteran leader guys, because OKC is going to be good in the future, but I don't know if he sticks around.
Or if he goes
I don't
somewhere
think
kind
he
of like
sticks around
Rondo
that
did.
Yeah, or even Dwight, like just
Yeah.
I think later on, like Kemba has enough skill to still fill a role as like that third player, kind of like Russ would be down the line. And Kemba's got 2 years left, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that he takes something like the mid-level to go to a contender that needs a point guard. But look, like it's just he's in the worst possible spot right now to do that, and it's not like he has time aside. Like, look, we think about it. The sixth graders got to go through like 5-6 more years of school, then maybe a year of college, depending on the rule.
And then that's not even them. They're not even going to be prime, the amazing NBA players when they get there. They're going to
he's
need
like
another
10 years away.
Yeah. Well, it depends. You never know. There are prospects that come out of college and just shred. You
Yeah,
never
absolutely.
really know.
But they need more than one.
And they have a lot of assets that are tradable too. So you never really know the moves that OKC is going to make.
Not only that too, but like we've also seen the luck that counting on the lottery can have for you, because OKC had excellent odds to obtain 2 like top 5 picks, and they ended up with picks. I want to say they ended up with like pick 6, and
something like
the Houston Rockets kept their pick. Like OKC ended up with 1 when they thought they were getting 2. So it's
50-47 for the Los Angeles Clippers. Book just hit a huge 3.
Jeez. Yeah. So kind of in wrapping that up, Brent, you got anything else you want to bring up today, bud?
No, I think the rest of it, we're getting a little long here today. We'll leave it for the next week.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not
put a
next
pin in
week.
some of this
for,
stuff.
for Friday. And yeah, so in saying that, go check out OCS. Lots of great content over there. If you enjoy us, you'll enjoy the rest of those podcasts. Lots of great podcasts. You can find them anywhere you find your podcast. They're listed there. Scroll along the bottom. Flyers Alley, us, the 3-pointer, the Dusty Buttes, and coming premiering July 11th, the Rumble Fumble live show. Beck's going to be on that. He seems pretty excited about that, and that's going to be awesome. So go check that out. You can find all the links to this on our website at OCSsports.com, oldcitysports.com, spelled OLDE, citysports.com, or on the Facebook like and group page. So in saying that, thanks. And Beck, do you have anything you want to say about the Rumble Fumble before we end it here?
Yeah, man. So obviously the first NFL show that is coming to OCS, and we're all very excited about it. We know that where we're from in Philadelphia, we got a large fan base surrounding football, and some of them being the Eagles. Yeah, Luke, I do as unbiased, I'm supposed to be sharing that sentiment. But I'm also glad that I can rant about Aaron Rodgers in a space where I'm not told that I'm on a basketball podcast. So I'm super excited for that, and I can't wait for it to get going.
I feel so bad for everyone listening to that show.
Yeah, me too.
So listen.
So
As much as as much as like you may not want to hear it, you are kind of supposed to give a public endorsement from it. But all jokes aside, it is going to be a really good show, and we're going to have some great insight.
well, yeah,
I
I think
So
everyone
guys who
knows I
really
was
care
clearly
The,
joking.
the less Beck talks, the better. I think is going to be the motto of that show.
Notes taken, but yeah, we're looking forward.
Beck, you're there
looking
for
forward to
stats.
You're just there to fill a fucking. You're there to fill a hole.
He's a form filler.
He's a form
You're a-
filler.
You're a role player, bud.
Mhm.
You're
And even roll that guy
you're
role players
a
do.
system quarterback.
Ask Iggy and Chauncey Billups. All role players do have their moments and MVP moments, actually. So, yeah, there you
Did he
go.
just compare himself to Chauncey Billups? Did Brendan just
Yeah,
compare
he
himself to? I'm not even. You know what? I'm not even.
I
touching
just
that.
drew a
I'm-
parallel.
And in
I know.
saying that, we're
And
going
it's-
to end this
and-
right here. And cheers, guys.
Have a good
Cheers.
one.